Good evening. Good evening, Daytona Beach, and welcome to the regularly scheduled City Commission meeting. Today is November 3rd, 2021. We're delighted to have each of you join us tonight. At this time, I would ask that Ms. LaMagna would review the procedures for our meeting.
Good evening. Agendas are available on the table in the lobby and at the front of the commission chambers. All of the exhibits pertaining to items on the agenda are posted in the lobby. Please feel free to view the exhibits at any time during tonight's meeting. You are required to fill out a yellow form to speak before the City Commission on topics on the agenda. Forms are available on the table in the lobby and at the front of the commission chambers. You must complete the sections that ask for your name, address, agenda item number, signature, and date. The form must be completed and placed in the designated box. Item number 7 is the opportunity to address the City Commission concerning any item that is on the consent agenda. Please indicate on the yellow speaker sheet the agenda item number of the item or items that you're addressing. Items or discussions not listed on the consent agenda will not be heard during this comment section. Agenda items under item number 9 are public hearings, and citizens may speak at the designated time. And resolutions under administrative items number 10 are open for public comment, and you may fill out a yellow form to speak when that item is called. Speakers will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. When you approach the lectern, please speak clearly into the microphone and give your full name and address. The 3-minute clock on the monitor above the dais will start running when you begin to speak. Pay close attention to your time. You will be told when your time has expired. Item number 12 is the public comment forum, and this is the opportunity for the public to speak on any issue or topic that is not on the agenda. All citizens completing the green form will be allowed to speak for 3 minutes. When you approach the lectern, please give your full name and address. Disorderly conduct in the public meeting of the City Commission. Article 2, Section 6238 of the City Code of Ordinances reads as follows. It shall be unlawful for any person to behave in a riotous or disorderly manner in any public meeting of the City Commission or any committee, agency, or board thereof, or to cause any unnecessary disturbances therein by force, shouting, or any other action that is calculated to disrupt such meeting, or to refuse to obey any ruling of the presiding officer or such meeting relative to the orderly process thereof. Please be courteous and respectful of the views of others. Personal attacks on the City Commission, city staff, or members of the public are not allowed. Please silence cell phones and other wireless devices during the meeting. All conversation must take place either at the lectern or on the dais so that everyone can hear the business being discussed tonight.
Ms. LaMagna, may we have a roll call?
Commissioner Traeger? Here. Commissioner May? Here. Commissioner Cantu?
Here.
Commissioner Henry?
Here.
Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Mayor Derek L. Henry?
Here.
We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the October 6, 2021 regular business meeting of the City Commission.
So move. Second.
Take a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner Henry. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. At this time, we'll have our agenda approval. If there are any changes, our city manager will address those.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, we would like to add addendum A8I, allocation of bike week sponsorship funds to the consent items. Also add addendum 10E, declaring the results of the November 2nd, 2021 Special Municipal General Relation Commissioner for Zone 2 to administrative items. That concludes it.
Second.
Take a motion from Commissioner Reed and take the second from Commissioner May. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, the same sign. This motion carries 6-0.
Okay. We'll now move on to item number 6, which is our presentation. And item 6A is the presentation of the milestone recognition for council manager organization from FCCMA.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Grebos, and this is Sarah Campbell. We're with FCCMA. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of DeLand. Sarah is a Town Manager for the Town of Orange Park. And I'm just going to read a quick thing about the presentation, and then we can get to it. So I serve on the Executive Committee as a Secretary Treasurer for the Florida City County Managers Association. FCCMA has over 600 members, and its mission is to support the practitioners of local government in the cities and counties they serve in Florida through innovation, best practices, and a strong code of ethics. On behalf of FCCMA, we are privileged to present the City of Daytona Beach with a certificate celebrating 2022 as your 100th year as a council manager form of government as recognized by the International City County Managers Association. On behalf of the officers, board of directors, and the membership of FCCMA, we offer our sincere congratulations on this milestone achievement. And for everybody who may not be aware of what it means to be a council manager form of government, the council manager form of government was created to help separate administration from direct political influence and establish merit-based practices within local government. It's modeled after a corporation's framework, with voters who are like stockholders who select a council or commission who are like a board of directors, who in turn appoint a manager like a CEO to advise the council and implement its actions through ordinances and policies. In Florida, nearly 70% of all 411 cities, towns, and villages operate under a council manager form of government, and 67 counties in the state, all but 2 are professionally managed. Daytona Beach is recognized as a great example of a council manager form of government where you have a city commission that works together in a professional manner to make decisions and establish policies that are in the best interest of your stakeholders. Daytona Beach is also fortunate to have an ICMA and FCCMA member leading your city in Derek Feature. He's respected by professionals all around the region and as an individual who maintains the highest integrity and ethics and is always willing to promote the community while helping other cities that may need assistance. Mr. Feature leads a staff committed to providing the highest quality of life possible to the residents of Daytona Beach. So on behalf of FCCMA and all their council manager communities within our county state, we congratulate the city of Daytona Beach for this milestone, for being a council manager community for over 100 years. So at this time, I just want to present the certificate to you all. Thank you.
Will you take a picture of them? Okay.
Yeah, you're part of the presentation. Oh, awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate the presentation. Oh.
Okay. Moving on to item 6B is our second presentation tonight is the Mayor's Beachside Action Committee. Mayor Henry to present a report from the Mayor's Beachside Action Committee on the Daytona Beach Beachside Cleanup Update from MBAC and the City of Daytona Beach's Public Works Department.
I'm nervous. Okay. Do we have a clicker? Or is this?
I'm going to have them pull it up because it's in
Okay,
PDF form.
they can
and
just
it's
show
not
it.
a clicker.
Oh, okay. I will just say that tonight we are going to review some of the progress that has been made, largely influenced by our discussions that take place during the Mayor's Beachside Action Committee. Over a year ago, this committee was formed primarily with the objective of looking at the beachside, looking at every nook, every cranny, and every crevice of the beachside to see how we could, as business leaders and residents, look at ways that the community could be improved, the beachside itself. And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that we are making great strides. Our beachside for a long time has been viewed as a part of our community that has been under appreciated and under cared for. But we see a lot of great things taking place on our beachside, many of which, ironically, John Nicholson, in the accurate portions of his presentation, highlighted. A lot of the things that are taking place on the beachside as it relates to commercial development. But from my perspective and a lot of the residents' perspective, I think both of those have to go hand in hand. The residential components, the commercial components, and when they go hand in hand, and they're starting to go hand in hand, we'll see an explosion on that beachside. And I think it's going to go to a new level, and it's where it's headed. But tonight is really about acknowledging city staff, because a lot of what we've talked about here, they have been doing the work. And of course, as we talk about a council manager form of government, it's our job to establish a direction and to give direction to the manager about where we want and the things that we value and that we want to happen in this city. But it's also our jobs as elected folks to hear from the residents and allow that to help drive, how we direct the manager to direct the staff. Okay, and so a large part of what we're going to see tonight, I don't know when it's happening, but the staff has taken it and they have owned it, and there are just a lot of things going on in our community quite like that. And then all of a sudden, we see it tonight on our agenda. We'll see $4 million, and we see a plan to execute those roads. Well, we've got some staff members from Public Works that I would like to come up. If you guys would, are you here? Public Works? Anybody from Public Works? Come on up here. Come on up here. And I would like somehow for the camera to get on them so they can be seen. I need the residents of Daytona Beach to see these folks. Okay. Come on, Andy, Dave, Andy, y'all, you guys work. Oh, okay. It's what's his name? Jordan. That's Jordan. Miss Kay Brown's son, Jordan, is a part of our team, and I ain't mad at him. It's a poor frog that don't praise her own pond. Praise your pond and your seeds too. But we want to say, and we're going to see some of the work that you all have done. But a lot of times in cities and in our country, we lose sight of the wheels, the nuts and bolts of what makes a city go and what makes a city move, and what makes it look the way that we want it to look. And you guys and ladies work hard, and you're not seen. And sometimes you're not appreciated. But tonight, this is just our way. I want the entire city to know and to acknowledge what you are doing and the professionalism with which you work. And in just a moment, we'll see some of what you have done. But let's all give them a standing ovation tonight. We salute you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, you took a picture of it? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Well, maybe I should.
It's not coming up. I'm having problems.
Okay.
They may not be here.
All right. Now, you guys may not be here, but if we get it up, it's not working just right now. But, and we're not going to hold you because we know what the grind is like for you, but we will say that if we show it tonight, I want folks to see the change that your hands are making in our community. So if we don't show it tonight, we'll get back to it during the next meeting. But again, thank you. Okay. And we will post it on our website as well.
I'll get it by then. Okay. We're going to move on to item 6C, which is a presentation on our impact fee projects. Presentation of the planned projects funded by the impact fee funds collected and currently available, as well as some future collections of impact fees. Fred Coulter, Information Systems and Budget Director, to present.
Before Mr. Coulter presents, I'll just say that we have been trying to figure out how we can spend our impact fees, and Fred has worked with the department leaders, and we're going to be making some recommendations to you. Hopefully, they'll have the PowerPoint, but I believe that there is something in your packet. He will advise that how these impact fees must be spent in a certain time. It is not our desire to give back impact fees to anyone, but to actually improve things in our area. So the recommendations we'll be bringing forward to you, we will have to bring back to you if you all consent to us moving forward with these for approval. But Fred has done a lot of work with the department leaders, and I know he'll talk about that to present this to you all tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Coulter.
Okay, first, my name is Fred Coulter, as mentioned, Information Services and Budget Director. So I want to talk about the impact fees. As you know, we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about the impact fees and eligible expenditures in general. What are impact fees? What have we got in the bank? And what are we going to be getting? So then we're going to talk about the meat of the projects, which is what are these proposed projects? And finally, let's talk about how the money lays out over time. What's an impact fee? Well, it's regulated under Florida statutes. I'm not going to read all that, but basically it's money that developers give us for the impact that they're causing on our infrastructure, things that we need to build to support their developments. And I'm not going to go into all of the details, but it can only be spent on projects, capital projects related to growth. Drew's very happy because a fire truck is considered a capital project. So what have we got? When we brought in the budget, we had over $30 million that we carried forward from last year in impact fee money. And that was calculated beginning parts of September. By the middle of October, I calculated we had $36,082,555 in impact fee money available. We also have a few projects already budgeted. We made, unaudited, $12 million in impact fee collections last year alone. Will we make the same next year? I don't know. That's the reason we don't budget this in advance. We only budget it as we receive it in hand because impact fee collections vary wildly from year to year. So what are we going to do with this money? We have to worry about roads, parks, fire, police, general government, water, and sewer, and those are the areas that we look at. So for the roads, first, there are several projects. First, we're going to be looking at a turn signal on Jimmy N. There's a turn lane by West Side Elementary School that's needed because of increased traffic flows, and it's all because of development. North Beach Street, Stickler Drive intersection, we're going to be increasing the capacity so that more traffic can go through there, not backing up. These are pictures of the current intersection. We're looking at the Bellevue intersection pedestrian improvements. I drive along Bellevue every day, and people risk their lives on that road. And this is between Nova Road and Clyde Morris Boulevard. And finally, the Jimmy N, there's a turn signal on LPGA Boulevard that we're going to be putting in. So these are all projects, road projects, driven by development. Recreation, Parks, Cultural. The Leisure Services Department is going to be building a command center and stadium expansion at Daytona Stadium. Obviously, that's not a picture of the building that they haven't built yet, but that's the type of construction they're talking about. We're also going to be looking at Daisy Stocking Park, expansion of the park, putting in a pole barn, things of that nature, again, because of additional usage of the park. The Rose Room expansion at Peabody Auditorium is going to allow them to do more services, more weddings, things like that, again, because of growth in the city. And finally, off of LPGA Boulevard, which is an area vastly underserved by Leisure Services, we have 34 acres of land that we're going to be developing into a park so that it serves the new residents of that side of the city. And finally, this one is for me. Every year we've been making debt payments out of this fund, and I always worry every year as we do the budget that there won't be any revenue. So we're putting aside enough money to cover the rest of the bond payments, the rest of the debt payments that come from the impact fee fund, so we don't have to worry about whether or not we'll have revenue in the following year to pay for that. Drew wants a fire truck. Drew needs a fire truck because of all the construction we just talked about with the new hotels and things. We have far more construction, far more high buildings, and so he's going to be getting a second aerial fire truck. The police have several needs. Right now, they have more evidence and more property than they have places to put, so they're going to be expanding their property and evidence storage. They're looking at a substation out on Grandview to provide more police protection in that direction. And finally, we're going to be saving up money, and this one's going to take a while to build up enough for a third West Side precinct to support the west side of the city with police protection. For general government, we're going to be saving up money for a city hall. What form is this city hall going to take? That is wide open. There are several opportunities which are much cheaper than some of the things we've discussed previously that may come about. So nothing is set in stone. This is just where we're putting the money, and hopefully the money will be able to be used properly and well. Finally, water. Well, not finally. Finally, utilities. For water, Avalon Daytona potable tank and booster pump. That's based upon the Avalon Daytona development that's going out there. The actual timing of this project will be dependent upon what the developer does. We'll have the designs in place, ready to go to break ground as soon as it's ready. Indian Lake Road water main expansion. Hard to see on this map, but it's going to be connecting Indian Lake Road to the water lines. You can see going through Bennett Swamp and all that. That's also because of development. The Heinemann Tank and Pump Station is an interesting situation. We actually are able to get an SRF loan to pay for it, which has an almost 0% interest rate. What's more interesting is that they're rebating a portion of the loan. If we paid for it out of impact fees, we'd pay 100%. Because we're taking a loan out, we only pay 80%. What we're then going to do is put the money aside in the impact fee to pay off the loans so it won't be hitting future needs. And that way we save money on building this water tank. And for the sewer, Lift Station 34, because we're replacing an existing lift station but it's expanding the capability, a portion of the funding will be able to come from the impact fee funds. Same thing with Lift Station 62. We're going to be expanding it, and that will be partial impact fee funded. Lift Station 5 and the force main, that's the lift station by the golf course, and it will run the force main from there all the way to Bethune Point Wastewater Treatment Plant. When I walked by there one day while exploring the city, I wondered what it was, and I found out. I was very happy. And finally, there's going to be an Avalon Daytona development, a reuse storage tank and pump station. So how are we going to do this? Over time, for most of it, much of these projects, as you can see here, road impact, much of the projects will be fully funded right now. Others will be collecting the money over the next year or two, saving it up for the project. All of these, the funding will be in place before we break ground. The fear of a budget officer is that we rip up the road in front of a city councilman and then run out of money to repave it. I want the money in hand before we break ground. And so by starting to save the money now, when it's time to break ground, we'll be there. But that's how it's spread out. Road impact fees funds are estimated revenues for the next 2 years. Will we actually see those revenues? Somewhere around there, because impact fee funds are, again, hard to predict. Recs, parks, cultural impact fees, we have the money for all of their projects right now. Fire EMS, if Drew orders his fire truck now, it'll take 16 months to get here. It just takes that long to build it. We don't have the money for the full fire truck, but we will have it by the time it's delivered. Police impact fees, everything except the third precinct can be paid for now. We're going to have to wait for years for that precinct at current levels of revenue. But we're going to start saving now so that it's there when we can. Government impact fees, we're estimating a $10 million project, which we'll have in 2 years. The problem is we don't know for sure what the project is. It is a ballpark figure. Could be more, could be less, depending on what we do. Water impact fees, other than the Heinemann tank repayment, we have the money now for the impact fee portions of the two projects. The Heinemann tank, we will be able to, by the end of next year, have all the money to pay back the loan. The loan will be a 20, 30-year loan, but it'll just be already there. We know it's coming up, and we don't have to worry about it. With the sewer impact fee funds, we have enough money for the impact fee portion of Station 34 and 62 and the Avalon Park now, and we have most of the money, well, some of the money for Lift Station 5 and force main design, and we'll be able to, over the next few years, collect the rest of the money to do that project. So that's what we're planning on doing with all the impact fee monies we have in hand right now. Thank you.
All right, we have questions?
How did we decide on those particular projects? What was the vetting process for that?
First of all, the departments went through and proposed a bunch of projects that they thought were justifiable as impact fee projects. They had to be developed in accordance with the law. They had to be related to growth, and they had to be doable, and there had to be a need now. After they presented all those projects, I went through them and made a determination under a few of them as to whether or not they actually were growth-related or not. Then I went into consultations with Mr. Fiecher, and we discussed them, and we talked to the departments as necessary. That's the vetting process. We started doing this as soon as the budget was adopted, and I looked at that money and said, we have a problem if we don't allocate it to projects.
And then finally, how long? That was 1 year of impact fees? So during the pandemic?
Depends on the fund. Parks and Recs, that's one. Oh, the collection, no. We've been collecting for a few years without spending it.
Have we just been amassing it for a rainy day, or was there a reason we weren't spending it when we had the funds available?
That's an interesting question that's above my pay grade.
Anybody
I
wanna?
have an answer, but I'm not going to share my answer. So that's my sentiment. It's just a sentiment. We haven't have a.
Because this is,
I knew this money was there.
okay.
We knew this money was there. And when he came, he learned that this money was there. So you have to expend the money within a certain amount of time. And so other people had a different idea that I personally didn't have. So that idea wasn't moving forward, so the money continued to be.
I will say that I'm
So-
aggressive about spending the limited funds that we have that have to be used for certain things.
During the process of trying to figure out what has been discussed and requested by the community, by elected officials, talking with Fred, understanding that I have no desire to give back any funds for the growth that's taking place, but to try to implement projects. And so after consultation with all the department directors, their division directors, they came up and Fred and I got, some department directors are mad with Fred still, but not me, because of the cuts. But we're bringing something to you all based on our discussions with the department leaders, listening to the citizens, and wanting to say, if you all think that this is a good consensus of something we need to look at, we're going to go do some more in-depth stuff, and then we'll start bringing back some of these projects to start approval process. The money is there. We'll continue to see growth. But from my perspective, as we grow our community, the impact fees that are coming in, if we have projects that we can bring back to the elected officials to move forward, I'm going to bring them back faster than just letting the money sit.
And so is this a report that we'll be receiving yearly from now on? Is this
If you want to,
Yes.
I see
Yes.
no problem doing that.
Well, I mean,
You getting it?
what you're getting the report now, and here's the thing that we have to remember is that you have to demand to know what we need to know. I mean, like I say, there were thoughts of what to do with the money, and I personally wasn't always in favor of those thoughts. So we just talked about a council manager form of government. And I'll just leave it at that. Okay. I don't know if I made a complete thought, but my complete thought is very simple. We have to know what we want to do, and you have to know what's available. And then if you don't agree with that, you have to say that. And the manager knows that I knew this money existed. He knew that it existed. We have to have a relationship, so we're talking about it. He's only been here so long. As soon as he came here, he's ready to spend the money. Because he's right, we shouldn't be holding on to money for a long period of time. And it's just that simple. It's to deal with growth.
And so during discussion, I'd like to bring up a particular project that might be suited for this that actually impacts the entire community in Zone 3. So a discussion I'll bring.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess a part of the discussion is it relates to these items.
I
Let's
do
just-
have something, yeah. Everyone up on the dais should have this. You do have it? Okay. It's, can you hear me? It's 2 parcels off LPGA. I know some time ago you were talking about this money, about wanting a park on the west side off LPGA of the land, 34 acres of land that we own. On there, it's on this right now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you look at this, there's 2 parcels that back up to that city land. If you see it? Okay. They had appraisal done for me, and each parcel was $100,000 each. It came back appraised at. And I negotiated with the 2 property owners, and I was able to receive one of the properties for $45,000 and the other parcel for $85,000, which a total of $130,000, which was able to save the city $70,000 under the property appraisal. And I would like to use my federal funds to buy those parcels that back up against the property for the park. And there was a reason why. Jim, could you explain why I wanted to buy those?
Mayor and Commission, Jim Morris, Deputy City Manager. The parcels Commissioner Cantu is referring to abut the 35-acre piece the city got from the county. And it backs up to a subdivision in the LPGA development. The plans for it are being finalized with Parker Mitchenberg. When you go down the road, Mayor, we visited the site of the park, and you may remember, as you get down, it's the southern end. To me, it always seems west, but it's actually the southern end as we go. There's an open area in there in the bushes. That's this property. So you got a natural break in the vegetation that would be the 35 acres of parkland. You got a good distance from the entry to LPGA that's off to the north as you head back towards 95. And what it does is provides room to access off LPGA as well as create parking for the public on that property so that the 35 acres that's there without taking trees and stuff down, and as you remember, it's heavily wooded, almost completely heavily wooded, can work the park features into that wooded area and just leave the open space, which is already cleared, as a parking facility that can access the park in and out from that location. That's the intention of those pieces.
So this would just be for parking?
Be parking, and you could really no intention to use it specifically. The park plan isn't done, but from the perspective of the anticipated component of that, it would be parking to provide access to the park so that you'd have a park entry there. And however the signage of the park goes on LPGA, that's stuff that has to be determined in the planning. It's also the location for a cell tower back in that first piece, which is reserved. It's pulled back. You can't see, I don't think, in that area, the main parcel, which is separated from the LPGA development by water features. And then the new subdivision, which is called Grayhawk, is coming up to it. And this is just an isolated little pocket for a good place for a cell tower from a standpoint of service. I've talked to cell tower providers for that, so that you'd have the tower back in there and the heavy equipment, but it'd be stuck in the woods as opposed to sitting out all blank and exposed. Parking and so on would be beside that. That's the general idea, but the plan has to be put together by a park planner.
Well, first and foremost, obviously, it's in Zone 4. Obviously, for parks. Obviously, this was a critical need in that area that we've been discussing for several years. This is a park is beyond needed, and it's going to have parking.
And we need a cell phone tower.
And we definitely need a cell phone
desperately.
tower.
The cell tower would probably be located back in the wooded portion of the 35 acres, but it would have minimal disturbance of the site. It would be a monopole tower with an equipment building. And the land that the Commissioner's talking about is cleared land. You're not taking the woods out. You could really get the full utility of the site for trails and play fields, not play fields, but play structures back in that property if that's the way it sorts out.
And like I said, I was able to get both parcels under the appraisal, 70,000 under the appraisal.
Yeah. Well, I first of all, as I've said, you need a park, ARCA funds, recovery, that community. Just think about what recovery is needed out there. This is an example of the type of recovery that's needed. It's mental health, it's therapy. I try to stick to ARCA and what it was intended for, and I think that this is an ideal expenditure. I think it's perfect. Plus, it puts money towards the park that I obviously want to see as dynamic as possible.
Right.
We have two drawings.
There's two properties. It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Okay.
If you look at the two pieces, it's a jigsaw puzzle pieces. I don't know what you have in your hands, Commissioner, but I know the way the properties configure.
From the property appraisal, it's two different parcels. The one I was able to get, they're both appraised at 100,000 apiece. I was able to get one down to 45,000 and the other one down to 85,000. So
Okay.
a total of 130,000.
I recall that. So where is our property in this?
It is, man, Bob, I need to see one of these.
Use hers.
It's right behind it.
Can we go back to the
Was it on the screen?
PowerPoint?
It's not on the screen, I don't.
I don't think it was.
The additional properties aren't on my.
No, there's a picture of the image. Go back to the front.
Oh,
Yeah, go-
So Commissioner, when I look at this drawing, I believe that is, as I hold it this way.
go
See,
back
here's-
to the PowerPoint, guys.
PowerPoint.
Yes, ma'am. It would be the right-hand side as you look at it that way.
Go back.
Go the other way.
Sorry.
It's this.
One more. There we go. So the current park would be the picture on the upper right. That one. Thank you.
So, well, you don't have the entire image, so you got to. So, Commissioner, and for the rest of the commission as well, you see the, if you zoom in on the one you had, Fred, please.
Zoom back again, please.
No, okay. The upper right, please.
Thank you. They did.
So that's the northern end of the city property, and actually you can't see it, I'm sorry. See the road entering LPGA, which is the top of the image that you're looking at. It's the narrow part of the blue property. When you come down to the base and you can see the dirt and the construction, that's the preliminary stuff working on the plat. But you see the pieces that go out to LPGA, those are the pieces that are being discussed. So they actually abut LPGA, and you'd enter directly with a driveway permit from the county off LPGA onto these properties. And I mentioned the spacing because it's important from the perspective of driveway permits on a road like that.
It's actually a beautiful parcel and a perfect parcel for this type of project that will leave a lot to be environmentally sensitive, and you'll be able to use a lot of it, I think, for outdoor movement, exercise, maybe even bicycling, and then put some different amenities in it. You know, of course, they don't have a design, but just the idea of it. And it's in a perfect location.
Well, I like
Because
the fact that it's so large because we serve so many citizens out there that several families can take advantage of the property at one time.
Well, and you also,
The ability to access it in terms of the location, not the people in LPGA can access it directly from in LPGA, and then people coming across from Bayberry and all those other places out there come right across the street.
well, the other thing about it, if I might, Commissioner, just looking at it, it has the opportunity to have trails and exercise equipment that adults might use, but also play structures that children would use, put in different places through the woods, but also screened from the view of the road. And maintaining the property also screens the LPGA development from having it cleared for development, which at one time that's what it was. The city received this property from the county when the taxes for the property went unpaid. So the city actually acquired the 35 acres at no cost to the city. And that came from the county and working with them. These two parcels popped up as a way to avoid blasting into this property and tearing the woods up, which the intent is preserve it and keep as much of the natural features as possible. And the mayor and Mr. Willis and I did have a site visit about 3 or 4 months ago out there. That was before these pieces came up, but we did go out and look at it then.
It'd be nice to have some bike trails out there.
We have bike trails.
Can't even golf. Okay.
Does that answer it, Commissioner?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I'm hearing some consensus. We'll bring some contracts back for your approval at the next meeting. Is that where we're going with this?
Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. And the source of funds will be the federal COVID funds.
I don't mind. Correct.
Very good. All right, we've got some contracts ready to pull forward on that.
Okay.
Also, with these items, as we will move forward, bringing different concepts back to you all to have discussions, and may cause for us to do some workshops to really design some of these things and see if you want that. So if there are any questions or concerns or additional information you want on these, let us know. So when we start bringing back these different projects, we'll be ready. But I know on the major park spaces, we know you all want a fire truck, so we don't need to bring too much. But the major projects that will cause for what we want out there, we'll bring into a workshop format for you to get ideas for different things.
When you bring a project like this up, can't you ask for echo funds on that?
Yes,
Yeah, we should ask for echo funds.
we will.
Okay.
We've already started on.
But I'd like to extend the project, not just,
I've been informed that the need for a project is demonstrated by you actually budgeting money for it. So by budgeting money for it, we've actually moved the priority of that project up to get grant funds, which would then free up the money that we have here for some other project.
yeah, because I got some other ideas for the project.
Yeah. Well, I know myself, Drew, and Beth met on yesterday, and some of these projects were discussed. So if we're able to free up that more money, we come back to the commissioner and say, how do you want to use it?
On this project.
Do we plan to utilize
this
all
project
35
great.
acres for this project?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other?
Yeah, this project can't be great enough. We gotta make it great. You know, I like splashes. Okay. Yeah, okay, great. Any other questions or comments? All right. Excellent job, Mr. Coulter.
Did you want to take a
on
look
this
at
presentation.
that
Oh, okay.
beach
is it ready?
side?
Oh, okay.
And guys, if you can bring up the beachside one. There you go.
All right, this is what our amazing
What is what we're supposed to do?
Public Works team has been doing.
And Andy is doing it.
Okay. Was that the right thing?
And they're gone now.
Oh, okay. All right, if you look at it, you'll see one of the things they've been working on. I can't recall how many lights were replaced over there, but an astronomical number of lights have been replaced on the beach side in the last couple months. A1A and Seabreeze Boulevard, 37 street lights alone were fixed, and fast service reporting hotline was added, so that you let them know when the lights are out. Their aim is to get the light repaired and restored quickly. Seabreeze and Oak Ridge bridges both were pressure washed with new city machines and staff. One of the things that Andy would tell you and the manager was that we had to wait a long time, and look at that. Look at the difference in that. And that's how we want to look, to the right. But they'll tell you that we had to wait a long time in order to be able to hire teams and folks to pressure clean. And this was a major topic in the community as it relates to particularly the Seabreeze Bridge. We will recall showing that earlier in the year, this particular sign or light pole. I think that's Seabreeze, and it looks a lot better now. Brown corroded streetlight fixtures were replaced with matching existing black streetlights, and approval granted from FDOT and FPL for matching black, not silver, or soon to be installed additional crosswalk lights. And Collins Park, one of the issues that we're having on the beach side, as we know, with our parks, is that as soon as these folks do the work, a lot of times the homeless are going back and destroying the property again. But Collins Park, letter of support given for renovation grants, then it was vandalized, occurred 3 times in 8 weeks. So the gazebo was pressure washed twice, wood was repaired, and several bench slats were removed to safely see trespassers, vandals after closing hours. So what they're going to do now is try to install cameras to help manage that. It's difficult to manage, but the idea is that, you know, we do still have a major problem with homelessness on the beach side. This is University Boulevard. We had broken sidewalks were repaired with new crosswalks, and a dangerously corroded asphalt pedestrian intersection was redesigned and sodded. Doesn't that look 100 times better?
Yes.
And that's the type of work that we want to develop. And it's not just beachside. But this is where I've been focused with this particular committee. Many eyesores, safety issues, examples were removed or repaired. And if you look at the left, you'll see the sign, and you'll see how much different it looks when you get to the right. Look at the curb appeal, the change in the curb at the bottom. The Snebley sign, how much more aesthetically appealing that is. The sidewalk in the top right-hand corner. But these things take a tremendous amount of work, in part because they haven't been maintained in the way that they should. But the beach side is harsh. You know, naturally, it's very harsh environmentally on structures. So I think that's it. But again, we're appreciative, and much more is continuing to be done. Andy, did you have anything that you wanted to add or share that I might have missed?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just wanted to say thank you to the mayor and this commission and the city manager for your staff and extending trust to our department in funding the efforts that result in these outcomes. I also want to say thank you to an engaged citizenry out on the beach side and other areas of town too. I think local government works best when citizens get involved. And this whole situation is a great example of that. So thank you to everybody. There's also, I get to stand here for Public Works, but there's over 100 employees that are involved every day in making Daytona Beach a better place to live. And I appreciate all of their efforts as well. So thank you very much for extending trust in our department. We appreciate that.
And I want to thank you, and I want to thank Dave Waller. I also want to thank Chief Young, Captain Scott Lee, the manager, and I especially want Emily to come up. Emily Nice, are you here back there? That's you behind that mask. Come up here. But I want to thank the staff, because one of the things that the manager has done, and he's been true to his promise, and he'll tell you that when I met with him before he ever took the job, I believed also that our staff needed to be released to be great. And they also needed to be released to interface with the community. And he has not squeezed them and prevented them from engaging with this committee and other parts of our community. And I believe that this is one of the aspects that's going to make our community great, just beyond great. Because as he said, when you have an engaged community, people take pride, they take ownership, they feel good about their community, and they feel great when they see that their government responds. So we have mountains to climb, but I just wanted to introduce Emily, because as it relates to these things, I don't know how many hours she puts in. She's a part of this particular committee, but she takes pictures, she contacts them, she communicates with them over and over and over and over and over. And so on behalf of Daytona Beach, Beachside, but Daytona Beach, I just wanted to give you a hand clap of praise and appreciation also.
There's a lot of great volunteers in this city, but it certainly has been a pleasure to work with Andy and David. You gave me the greatest guys there when you let me team up with them. But I appreciate all of the input from residents and businesses, because together I think we're at a point in Daytona Beach where great things really are happening.
I just want
you.
to take a moment and just tell you something. Miss Emily met me one day at the beach. We went for a walk. Then one day we met and it started pouring, and she whips out her piece of paper, and in pouring rain, she's showing me little things. And then we get in the car, and then we're there for a little bit as we're driving around. Then we're looking at pictures. So Miss Emily truly is a committed resident, and you have really good people on your team. So thank you so much. The residents of Zone 3 and the businesses, we appreciate you. There are many improvements in Zone 3, so thank you so much.
All right. Yeah, let's keep going. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So we're going to move on to item number 7, which is public comments by people addressing the City Commission. During this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the City Commission on any item on the consent agenda. My first speaker is Doyle Lewis, speaking on 8I, and on deck is John Nicholson, speaking on 8F.
Good evening. My name is Doyle Lewis, Daytona Beach, United States. I wanted to speak on this because this has been an ongoing project that I supported in the beginning. The faster you move on this project to help them get finished, the better it will be for you. I've worked on lots of projects, have 40 years' experience with dealing with small and large projects. It's imperative for the city of Daytona Beach to make this get finished the quickest way possible. Like another speaker said about this earlier, the faster you get this on the tax roll, the faster it will be bringing in money for you. That's a very serious statement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doyle.
Okay. My next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
John Nicholson, 413 North Grandview Avenue. As you know, on City Island, we've given away 2 parcels to the county. We gave them the library and we gave them the courthouse. There is a seawall at the library, but there's not one at the courthouse. So is this going to be a new seawall around the courthouse? And if so, does it affect the veteran monument that's supposed to go there? And does it affect the trail that Kelly White wanted to go through there? And secondly, the county's talking about moving the courthouse downtown, which would be fantastic for us if they move it downtown. They have $13 million FEMA funds if they rebuild downtown, so that's weighing very heavily on them. But if they do, if the seawall is going in this location, I think Jim Chisholm wanted to use that property to help maintain City Island and to generate funds for downtown. We need, to me, would have been perfect for a condominium, but he talked about having a hotel downtown, either here or the property that the city owns at the marina. But these things are needed, so they're interconnected. So hopefully, when we're doing this, we look to the future of what might go there or what might not. Thank you.
Okay. And my final speaker for the consent agenda is Mr. Frederick Brown.
Thank you, Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. I want to speak on item 8A, and it's a shame we had to do this. I have my own opinions on how this whole thing went, but what my biggest concern is, every other thing that comes before the city is an itemized bill, basically. This is where our citizens' money is going to. And the shame of it all is in this over-litigious society where everybody sues everybody for everything, we don't really know where this money goes. And it seems that the legal community has pretty much isolated themselves from itemizing these bills. What I'm trying to say in summation, I'd like to know how much is actually going to the attorney versus how much money is actually going to the litigant. Because this is a lot of money that could have done things for the city. And, you know, you just see lawsuit after lawsuit happening, and we don't know where the money goes. I see bulletin boards all up and down the highway praising these large settlements. And I know darn well a lot of that money's just going straight into an attorney because all the biggest houses in Daytona, I know, are all owned by attorneys. All the biggest houses in Orlando are all owned by attorneys. The biggest buildings over here are all owned by attorneys. So, you know, and there is no control on the amount of money that they make. But, you know, so again, I guess this is my way of protesting the fact that we have too many lawsuits with too much income going to too few people in the business that is unregulated or self-regulated, as you might say. Well, this is my speech against attorneys, I suppose. But main point I'm trying to make here is the city, every bill that we pay, it's itemized what the money goes to. Except in this, it's was one carte blanche. Here's your check. Have a nice day. I would like to see it itemized. Thank you.
And that was my final speaker for the consent agenda.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion? Second? Who's the second? Commissioner Cantu. Motion by Commissioner Henry. Do we have any questions or comments? Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. Moving on to item number 9 is our public hearings. Item 9A is Development and Administrative Services, Daytona 634 Development Proportionate Fair Share Agreement. This is a resolution public hearing. A resolution approving the Daytona 634 Development, LLC, Proportionate Fair Share Agreement between the City, Daytona 634 Development, LLC, and the County of Volusia, providing for the developer to pay a proportionate fair share contribution to the county in relation to the construction of an industrial development on the property generally located southeast of the intersection of Williamson Boulevard and Bellevue Avenue, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute this agreement and providing an effective date.
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner Traeger.
And I do have Jessica Gao here on behalf of the applicant for any questions.
No questions? All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. Now we're going to move on to item 10A. And this is the City Manager's Office Charters of Freedom Project Memorandum of Understanding Resolution. A resolution approving a memorandum of understanding with Foundation Forward, Inc. for the construction and installation of Charters of Freedom setting on city property located between the Daytona Beach Band Shell and the city's clock tower, immediately west of the Atlantic Ocean, authorizing the city manager and the city clerk to execute the memorandum of understanding and providing an effective date.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second.
Yes, and we have our presenters here. Our first presenter is Gary
Berginski.
Bergenski.
Yes, Gary Berginski. I'm with the Shriners. I live in Orlando, Florida. I'm the fellow that was responsible for bringing the 2 Shriners conventions here to Daytona Beach.
Welcome back, Gary.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here. After we had those 2 sessions here, it was really my desire to try to figure out a way to give back to Daytona Beach. You folks did a wonderful job, and I have to compliment you on your meeting tonight. It's impressive to watch a city doing the great things that you're doing, improving your city continuously. While we are here as Shriners, the hospitality that we received, the police, the first responders, and the people of the community welcomed us and took good care of us. It became my desire to try to find some way to give back to this community as a Shriner, as somebody, a community that stepped it up to really take care of us in a great way and give us 2 great conventions, actually. I had a connection with this Charters of Freedom, and we talked with them, and we met here in this building a couple of times with Jim Chisholm before he left. We actually were in town here to attend your meeting about 18 months ago, and on that very day was the day that our entire nation shut down due to COVID, and your meeting was canceled. We've been anxiously waiting to get back in front of you for about 18 months. This project, I think, brings patriotism to your community. It'll bring enthusiasm. It'll bring education. It'll be many of the things that I've heard you speak about tonight. This organization that does them around the country. This one will be placed on the Atlantic Ocean, the furthest, most east one in the nation. It's my privilege to be a part of it, to bring them to you. It's my privilege, if it's accepted and they begin selling bricks around it to help fund it, that the local Shriners here be the first to write a $1,000 check for the program kicked off. It's my pleasure to present to you one of the representatives, David Streeter, to tell you about this outstanding program.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Dave.
Fellow commissioners, council. It's good to be back in Florida. I spent 20 years here. I am also a graduate of Rollins. So anyway, about 25 years ago, my wife and I then moved back home to North Carolina, where I currently reside. Anyway, to get to the matters at hand, my colleague and good friend Ron Lewis is here, and I want to hand it over to him in just a moment. I wanted to first say not only thank you for your time, but we consider it an honor and a pleasure to be here and present this and to tell you about the Charters of Freedom. All I would like to say at this point, we build settings and not monuments. And the reason so is because the charters of freedom are alive and well. A monument pays honor or homage to something or a person that's no longer with us. These documents give us all of our freedoms and liberties. If it were not for them, we could not come together and assemble in this type of setting. So therefore, the word monument is not appropriate. So we went with the word setting because of them being with us all the time. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Ron Lewis, and then we'll take some questions at the end.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I was a county manager in North Carolina for 38 years.
Wow.
Welcome. Mr. Manager, I never saw a city that I would prefer over county management until yesterday. You have an incredible city here, and we're so pleased to be here among you. I bring you greetings from North Carolina, another NASCAR state, and also a bullseye of hurricane state as well. Foundation Forward is a nonprofit 501c3. It didn't start out that way, but we quickly realized we were going to be spending a lot of money, and we needed to have a way to afford people an opportunity to have some help on their taxes. So we became a 501c3 back in 2013. This is normally a 30-minute presentation, Mr. Mayor, but in view of your time and your patience with us, I'm going to do it in 10 minutes.
All right.
Is that acceptable?
That'll work. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody been to the National Archives building in Washington?
Yeah.
Very good, Mr. Manager. Normally when I ask that question, about 10% of the people will raise their hand. That is why we do what we do on a daily basis, because very few people, probably less than 10% of our population, has had an opportunity to go to the National Archives building. You walk down this long hall through these brass gates, and suddenly you're in the room of the founding documents. The Declaration of Independence is on the left, 4 pages of the Constitution in the middle, and the original proposed Bill of Rights is on the right side. You might realize that because of the age, et cetera, the documents aren't very legible anymore. As hard as our country has worked to preserve them, they're still, with the paper that they were written on, the writing instruments of the day, that they are deteriorating seriously. The worst one, interestingly enough, is the original proposed Bill of Rights. You can hardly read anymore the words on the original proposed Bill of Rights. We had 2 founding fathers, Franklin and Jefferson, that were big on education. That's what our goal is completely education. Yes, we build the Charters of Freedom, but more importantly, we want to educate our population on what those mean and what they stand for. If you'll look at those quickly, you'll see that Jefferson and Franklin basically designed the system of education that we have today in our country. Very, very similar to what our students go through today. I'll bring your attention to the last point on the 3rd level of advanced education. They were big believers in the culture of virtue. Now, regardless if you're on the left or on the right in Washington, you haven't seen much culture of virtue recently in our beautiful Capitol building. This is where this idea all came about. That's the courthouse of Burke County, North Carolina. At one time, that was the foremost western courthouse in the state of North Carolina. And because of the cool climate, often the Supreme Court of North Carolina would meet in that old historic courthouse because there was always a breeze there. Again, we're an education nonprofit. What we do is design and build replicas of the Charters of Freedom as exhibited in the National Archives building in Washington, D.C. The display, we hope to be central and open to the community 24/7 with high visibility. lots of foot traffic, and easy access for school children, veterans, and others. Now, there is no more beautiful location in the United States of America than the location that Daytona Beach has told us that we might perhaps have an opportunity to build the Charters of Freedom. It is absolutely stunning and an incredible location for us. Again, the Declaration of Independence is on the left, the 4 pages of the Constitution in the middle, and the original proposed Bill of Rights. Now, I'll take just a couple minutes to tell you that you can't take a tape measure into the National Archives building. You can't take a camera, and there's nowhere written what the dimensions are. So, our dimensions are based on our dimensions are based on 2 steps of a short guy. Madam Clerk, she found that real funny, didn't she? And markings on the clothing of our founder's wife's clothing. But we think we're pretty close. Now, at this location, we're going to need some local advice. Normally, we go down 3.5 feet and we pour reinforced concrete about 19 tons in a foundation. We may have to alter that here, but I'm sure the expertise is available to help advise us on how we might do that. That's what the displays look like after the 19 tons of concrete is poured. The 4x4 sides and the 4x16, which has the Constitution of the United States. Then we put a tray on top, and we put the documents. They're 1/4-inch etched bronze. Each weighs about 60 pounds. Now, the reason I know that is because in the early days of our organization, I carried those around Western North Carolina. And believe me, they're 60 pounds apiece. Then on top of that, we put bullet glass. Now, looking at your skyline, there's a lot of bullet glass in Daytona Beach because it's used in those high-rise buildings where it needs to be very secured and protected. That's what the first one looked like after we got finished with it. That's the historic courthouse in Morganton, the first one of the Charters of Freedom outside the United States, outside of Washington, D.C., the home of our great country. We chartered some artists to design a symbol. The eagle represents the Declaration of Independence, strong, defiance, bold, courageous. The stars above represent the articles of the Constitution, and the stars below represent the original proposed Bill of Rights. I'm going to move on real quickly because I know your time is valuable. In the middle, we put a time capsule. Mr. Mayor, we'd like a letter from you and other dignitaries, some newspapers depicting what the most beautiful and the most famous beach in the country is like in the year 2021 when we seal the capsule. Again, that was before and after pictures of the original one. This one is in Yancey County, North Carolina, when we started building brick. This one is in Asheville, North Carolina. This one is in Indiana with Indiana limestone. That's another brick one in Noblesville, Indiana. And the civil rights, Mr. Mayor, if I'm going to cut off my presentation in just a minute, but I need to tell you this. I was making a presentation to City Council in Monroe, North Carolina, and I learned real quickly that something was missing from what we were doing across this great country. I went back to our staff. I'm the treasurer of the corporation. We're prepared to gift to you the Charters of Freedom. There'll be some auxiliary costs for run-up and that kind of stuff, but it's a token amount of money, Mr. Manager. But I learned from the Monroe, North Carolina City Council that we were missing something. And I went back and laid that on our staff, and 3 months later, we had the document that's in front of you. It's framed. We have produced the 13th, 14th, 19th, and 24th Amendments, which are known as the Civil Rights Amendments. Now, let me tell you just a little bit about this. Our founding fathers were brilliant men, but they knew that the Constitution of the United States was an imperfect document. They were smart enough to put language in the document that allowed it to be amended. And praise the Lord for his help in helping us do that, because he was involved when these men put quill to paper and wrote the founding documents of our country. Now, we're proud to say that we will be building a fourth pedestal in Daytona Beach that will house this document that's in front of you. Because now there is no doubt that our country, we the people, is for all of us. It's just not certain types of people anymore. Now, in Jefferson's original writings, he actually included abolition language in its original drafts, but he knew he couldn't get it passed. He knew he didn't have the votes. But thank goodness they had the wisdom to make the document amendable. And so, Mr. Mayor, may I leave this with you?
That,
Will you accept?
yes, I would gladly accept.
Will you accept our gift?
Absolutely. 100%. I don't know where you're gonna put it, but you're gonna put it somewhere. Yeah, that's gotta go somewhere. Okay, let me say something to you. You go ahead, I'll let you finish.
Well, I'm just about through. Let me see what else I got. Oh, we'll have a fun time on Dedication Day. When we dedicate the Charters of Freedom, we will have a big time that day. There were 500 people in the rain in Indiana, in Jacksonville, Indiana, that helped us dedicate the Charters of Freedom. They were so impassioned to be there that the rain didn't stop them. They showed up to dedicate the Charters of Freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about. A teacher is teaching the young students what an effort it went to create this great country, to teach them that the Constitution is amendable as society changes and as time changes. And this is why we do every day what we do. That's, you might recognize Ben, that's me. We're proud to say that this is a group of homeschoolers. It breaks my heart just a little bit that the homeschoolers gravitate to what we do more than the public school students do. I look forward to the day when our public schools will gravitate to the Charters of Freedom, just like the homeschoolers do.
They do.
And I hope the good Lord lets me live long enough to experience that.
You just didn't come to my class, sir.
There are 3,143 parishes, districts, special districts, and counties in the United States. Our goal over the next 10 years is to do as many of those as we can do. And the first one in the state of Florida will be at Daytona Beach. Do you have questions of me now, Mr. Mayor? I'll be quiet and let you speak.
Do you all have any questions? You want to tell us where you're going to put that beautiful frame?
Drew Driscoll, Deputy City Manager and Fire Chief. Hardy Smith apologizes that he couldn't be here this evening. He's worked along with Gary and Shriners International, along with the Charters of Freedom, to bring this to Daytona Beach. Review of the website. If you look at the activity, the educational component, and the kids seeing these things for the first time, that many can't go to D.C. Biggest regret in my life so far, I have not been to D.C. myself. It's a shame. But for this setting, the setting planned right now is on the Oceanfront Plaza, south of the volleyball court, which is immediately south of the clock tower. You'll see a large round concrete area. They'll be presented right there, oceanfront, for everyone to see. We know we have a lot of visitors that come down to the band shell and all of our tourists. And hopefully our locals start venturing down there to see what I believe is going to be a great asset to our community.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor. They showed us several materials in which it was made of. Have we, coquina, okay. Oh, yeah, I did see the coquina.
Coquina,
Yeah,
yeah.
so.
Well,
Stone.
are we voting on this yet or what? Let's go ahead and vote. Who we got?
We have an additional person sign up to speak, Mr. Malcolm Williams. Did you want to speak on this, sir?
Okay. Come on, because we want to vote before we, we'll take a picture after that.
Excuse me. Good evening, everybody. While everybody's in a happy mood, I kind of feel bad now. This is such a patriotic moment for the city and for the project. But I just want to say I'm for it. I am against the location. And I just want to put something just for you guys to think about and take back. However, I think that this will actually do better on Beach Street. Just think of and we talk about districts and marketing and arts of that nature. What an amazing feeling that we could have somebody that come on Beach Street. They have an opportunity to go see Jackie Robinson statue, see this, walk down to the Esplanade that soon be there, go down to the Howard Thurman house. I think if we can put the focus on the little park between Magnolia and Orange, I think it'll be a better excitement. We have the Veterans Park there on Beach Street. We will have that whole street speaking history, patriotism, excitement, history. I think that putting this particular project on that little small plot on the beach side is doing the city a disservice. So I would just say if we could make that whole street something that is exciting, living history, I think it'll have a better impact.
Damn, boy.
So,
Excuse my language.
so,
But that is actually a brilliant thought in my mind, because as you said that, it sounds like like this is our monument area, and I agree. So I don't know how the rest of you feel, but I agree.
as Zone 3 Commissioner, I think it's a really good idea. In both locations, I think it would serve the city well. We'd have way more tourist footwork, which would help your cause on the beach side. But I think it definitely adds a super historic touch to our downtown. Super historic touch to it. Thank you so much.
The other thing is, it's like you said, we got the Veterans Bridge, we have the statue. So I see it as more like the monument section for Daytona Beach. And in all of this age of, monument bashing, so to speak, we are promoting monuments that are unassailable. And this is, a monument that no one can accost.
Think civil rights, think Jackie Robinson, think the civil rights amendments you're producing. Fantastic. Just really good.
I agree with Malcolm as well, because I was thinking as Drew was speaking, it's not really that accessible to bring children to the beach side to see this. Whereas the parking that we prepared for Beach Street, the beautification with that park and what have you, the school buses can come right there on Beach Street and park, and people can walk and park. Malcolm actually has a very
That's
good
brilliant.
idea.
It's actually great. I didn't think of it, but I just think it's...
And we have the library right there, so the kids can easily see it when they come down to the library area as well. I mean, it's a good location.
We've got the museum down there that, Ruth, are you still the chairperson of the museum for Daytona down there with that history as well?
Oh, I know, yeah.
I do have one additional speaker, Mr. John Nicholson.
John Nicholson. Come on, Mr. Nicholson.
Hello.
You have something?
Is her mic
Can you hear
on?
me now? No.
Well, just,
I actually agree with you. It'll be next to the veteran memorial, and actually we have a plaque. Or we have a plaque as well. Memorial there.
So, yeah, okay. All right, I think we got a different location, Drew.
Okay, again, John Nicholson, Beachside. Two things. One, at one point, we had parks on the beachside. We gave them up for the development for the city. We lost half of our boardwalk park to the Hilton and the Ocean Walk. If you recall, we lost half the park. Then we lost the park at Orr Street. All it is a street, so that's not available to us any longer. Then they gave away the area for the motorcycles for a monument. This is our children's park with no playground equipment. Hasn't been there for 12 years. So you're going to put it in a children's park so that we couldn't have a children's park any longer. Secondly, if you walk past it, it is a very tiny, confined area. And if you put that much cement, it will overwhelm the area. To me, I thought right off the bat, they're planning something at the Veterans Bridge, right at the foot of the Veterans Bridge. This would go perfectly there, but I think Malcolm's suggestion is even better. So to me, I would hate to lose more park, because for those of us that live in my neighborhood, we have to go to Lenox Park, which is 2 miles away, or we can go to Collins Park, which is a mile away. We've lost our park for our neighborhood. So for personal reasons, I would not like it in that location, but Malcolm's suggestion is even better. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor and City Commission, Drew Driscoll, Deputy City Manager, Fire Chief. Yes, in speaking with the members of the Charters of Freedom, I'm definitely amenable to the conversation of a relocation. Yes, it's catching them off base because this was a greater than 24-month venture that they've been going around and waiting the past 18 months to come. But I have their contact information, and myself and Hardy Smith will engage with them tomorrow and present them with some optional areas. My understanding is the Beach Street, City Island area in general, if you could define a better area, just so I know that I'm not venturing off base for you.
There's a specific, Malcolm, the specific area, can you be more clear?
I'm sorry, can you come
Come
up to the
back.
mic, Malcolm? Thank you.
And
Malcolm Williams, 1006 Libby. What I was thinking about is between Orange and Magnolia. And if we looked at a trail, we'll go from Jackie Robinson statue, the Town Dog, this particular property. I don't know what that
We don't own that.
We don't own that? Oh, well.
Well, we own it, but we don't, we'd have to go through another hoop to put it there. It's in the.
And then
But you want us to let.
Yeah, we leased it.
I think your comments are that you will prefer that it is here on the beachside area, because they're going to have to look at certain areas
Yeah.
beyond SB.
Okay, we'll give you all the latitude to look at the areas on Beach Street that is preferably close to the water.
On the City Island
Yeah.
side, because we understand the foundation and their design plans. So we'll bring back those, but first I'll engage with them and make sure that it works for what their settings normally look like.
You know, there's a little area in that park. Again, it's in Zone 3. It's a little area as you go out to the pavilion. It's a little roundabout area right there next to the rowing club. But it's right by the pavilion almost. I think that's a good little spot to look at also. And it's by the library area as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No. Okay. Okay, now, you all just wanted it on the ocean?
No, sir.
Is
I
that-
don't want to make that
We don't
perfectly
wanna
clear.
just-
We want it where you think it best.
All right, then, yeah.
Should be.
We do believe it's best. I think all of us believe it's best on Beach Street.
Okay. We
Beach
need
Street
an.
is more like, and I want to explain some. Beach Street is like it's becoming our centering place with all of the things that are taking place there that reflect our history, from the statue to the park, to the Veterans Memorial Bridge, all things that bring us together and unite us. That's my vision for Beach Street and the way that we want to promote it, that when we want to come together and we want to be inspired, This is where we as a community come. And so I don't know of anything that should inspire us any more than this.
The footprint, Mr. Mayor, is about 35 feet by 25 feet. That's how much space we need.
Okay, that's a lot of footprint, but that
Now-
it says they can get it done.
Now, what we're gifting is the Charters of Freedom, plus the Civil Rights Amendments. Now, any lead-ups or any other sidewalks, et cetera, would become the city's responsibility.
Okay, all right, we got you.
One more thing. Mr. Manager, do you have an assistant?
Got 3 of them.
Had 3 of them.
Could you use 4?
Coming out of retirement.
May I have my picture made?
Yeah, we're coming down for
He's
a
coming
picture.
down.
Let me say to the Rollins College TAR,
Can we get a vote?
can we get a vote?
Yes. Hang on.
We have a motion?
Hold on. Before we vote, the memorandum of understanding has a site location, so we'll need to amend that location in the agreement to reflect Beach Street. So as long as the motion reflects that change, I'll go ahead and make it.
I'll go ahead and make the motion.
Why don't,
I think I made the motion already, and I would amend it.
I'll second.
Can 2 was the second.
Oh, too bad.
All right, we'll take
right,
the,
why don't we make it to be determined?
That's fine if you're.
Because if
agreeable.
B Street doesn't work out, we don't want to have to come back again. And
Oh, but we'd like you to come back.
we can come back, but we,
come back when we enshrine it.
right,
So I will add a location to be determined by the city.
All
yeah.
right, do I have a motion from the original
Yes.
amended
Amend it.
in a second?
Amended.
Okay, I have a Traeger and Cantu.
Can I say one thing before?
Absolutely.
I remember as a very young child, many years ago, the train came through our town, the Freedom Train, and they had the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and I think the Bill of Rights. But I was so impressed as a young child. I still remember that. And I'm sure many of the children who see that will be equally impressed as I was back then.
All right, let's think. Okay. Oh, who? Oh, where's the tar? You the tar? And that's a Rollins man. He knows what civics are all about. But I just want to make certain that we understand that as a public school teacher, civics are alive and well. As a history teacher myself for many years, my nickname by my students was Jefferson. And the reason that they nicknamed me Jefferson was that I fed them so much Jefferson that they just finally just said, okay, Jefferson, we give up. We're going to learn the amendments and all things associated with our Constitution.
Mr. Mayor, we're going to get along real well.
Yes, we are. All right.
You going, Mr. Manager?
He'll be able to pick it up. He won the mayor's fitness challenge.
When he comes back up.
Can you guys come over? I cut you out now. If you've ever thought you were in the picture, I cut everybody out. One,
It's
two,
not even.
three. Could you now? Could you hold it? Okay, that's good. Hold it.
Get level.
1, 2, 3.
Good night.
Got it. Hey, just take
Can we answer all my questions? I have.
We don't want nobody to knock it over.
Yeah.
They actually had street when we were here a long time ago, because that new park wasn't all planned out yet. That's why we can do it.
We'll lay it out and send it to you all.
And Mr. Mayor, one closing comment for me. As the Director of Education, we have and I continue to develop education materials that are all complementary to all the schools, whether they're private or public. If you could help me make contacts, because usually when I contact a superintendent, they think I'm trying to sell them something. And if you could help me with those contacts to let them know, I'd be glad to come back to Daytona in person and give presentations to the school
That's the
system.
right person. I'm with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Milhollins is next.
Okay. I will remember.
I'm with you. You just called me.
We actually. me.
That's my alma mater. I get excited, baby. Nothing like Rollins College. All right, we have a motion. We had a second. We forgot to vote. I got so excited. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. This motion carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay. We're going to move on to item 10B. It's a Public Works Street Maintenance Division, Better Barricades, Inc. Program Budget, Citywide Road Resurfacing and Restoration Program. This is a resolution. A resolution approving a program budget in an amount not to exceed $4 million for the Citywide Road Resurfacing and Restoration Program for fiscal year 2021 to 2022, authorizing the city manager to make procurement-related expenditures and approve work authorizations as necessary to complete the project, waiving certain purchasing code requirements to the extent of conflict herewith, approving the street stripping agreement with Better Barricades, Inc., piggybacking the City of Port Orange contract, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the agreement, and providing an effective date.
So move.
Take a motion from Commissioner Reed and a second from Commissioner Traeger. All right. Andy?
You already know the rules, Andy.
City manager asked me not to ask for more money, so I'm gonna refrain from
Yeah, he told
from asking for more money.
He told me to not to listen to you, but he knows that I'm your cousin. Comes the rules.
I want to say thank you to this commission for your support of this resurfacing and sidewalk program. That means a lot to us. It's very important, I believe, and I just want to thank you for your support. We're excited about being able to do the work that we need to do, and we're ready to get started.
Okay. All right.
Starting roughly, which areas will you be starting in?
We've got a number of streets identified. The city has about, we like to talk in lane miles because we're engineers, but we have about, in round numbers, about 500 lane miles, which is one lane of road for 1 mile in the city. And we need to resurface about 5% of those every year, which would be about 25 lane miles or around 13 miles of 2-lane road. And so we've got projects all over the city. I'm going to go ahead and give you this.
Thank you.
There's
And then how intrusive is the work exactly? And do we have to alert residents in our zones when it's happening?
It's not very intrusive. The milling and resurfacing work that we're going to be doing is fairly quick, and it can be done under traffic. We don't have to close the road down to do it. You do one lane at a time, and you mill it off. You can still drive on it. And then once the milling is complete, you come back and put a layer of asphalt. And it goes at a speed that's a little faster than a person can walk. And so it only takes a few hours, and they do it under flag control so they can let the traffic go around the operation as it's taking place. So we envision and hope that this commission will continue to fund this program annually so that we can get our roads in the shape that they need to be in. So.
So it looks as though a sizable amount of work is taking place in Zone 3. Am I looking at this correctly?
In zones, there's a sizable amount in zones 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. In the Zone 4, we've done some other projects resurfacing in Zone 4, spent almost $2 million there in the last few years. One is upcoming on Bevel Road, the sidewalk. We've got $1.3 million in local money in that project. And then we did about a $800,000 project out in LPGA subdivision, which is not on this list. Those are funded differently. So all of the zones are experiencing some work. And as we go through the projects, different zones will get a little more work in different years just because it's difficult to match the needs exactly with the money. But the entire city is going to feel the effects of the program in a positive way.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. I would say 2 claps, but thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Excited. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
Yay.
Yep, yay.
We're going to move on to item 10C. It's the Development Administrative Services Planning Division, First Amendment to Project Sigma PD. This is an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance approving the First Amendment to the Project Sigma Plan District Agreement, which regulates development and use of a 118-plus acre site generally located on the west side of North Clyde Morris Boulevard and the northwest quadrant of the LPGA Boulevard and Clyde Morris Boulevard intersection to apply single-family development and landscaping requirements to certain types of multifamily uses that may be built on the site, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the First Amendment, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Commissioner May and a second from Commissioner Cantu. Do we have any questions or comments?
I just wanted to ask him, they're talking about the landscaping. Can Mr. Merrill tell us a little bit more, Mr. Morris?
Mayor, Commission, Deputy City Manager. It's Jim Morris. In terms of the landscaping, you got single-family scale structures. They're qualified as multifamily because of density, but in terms of bulk and dimension, it's really like a single-family. So they're landscaping to a single-family style versus a multi-story building where you would use a different, more intense landscaping because of the scope and scale of the structure that's involved.
So
It's really meant to make it consistent with what you'd ordinarily see with a single-family or lower-rise type construction.
but it would be ample enough,
Yes, ma'am.
and the landscaping, like facing the road, would be like landscaping for multi-business.
Well, it's really designed to make it look like a residential development, a lower-rise residential development. So I don't think the latter part of your question would be a true statement. It's really to use single-family style for that, but it would not be inconsistent with what you would see with other single-family style development.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who are opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
The public hearing is set for November 17th. Moving on to item 10D, it's the Development and Administrative Services Planning Division, First Amendment to Project Theta PD. This is an ordinance on first reading. An ordinance approving the First Amendment to the Project Theta Plan District Agreement, which regulates development and use of 37.1 plus acre site generally located in the southeast quadrant of Williamson Boulevard and Strickland Range Road, to apply single-family development landscaping requirements to certain types of multifamily uses that may be built on this site, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the First Amendment, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
We'll take a motion from Commissioner Henry and a second from Commissioner May. Have any speakers or no?
It's first reading.
Oh, first, I'm sorry. Any questions? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0.
The public hearing is set for November 17th. Moving on to item 10E, which was added to our agenda tonight, is the city clerk declaring the results of the November 2nd, 2021 special municipal general election for a commissioner for Zone 2 resolution. A resolution declaring the results of the November 2nd, 2021 special general municipal election for election by zone for city commissioner for Zone 2, declaring Ken Strickland duly elected as commissioner Zone 2, and providing when this resolution shall take effect.
So move.
We have a motion from Commissioner Traeger and a second from Commissioner May. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Congratulations, Mr. Strickland. All right.
Okay, that was our last item on the agenda.
All right, we'll move on to we start with, is it Commissioner Traeger? Was number one? Yes.
No comment.
No comment. Commissioner
Okay.
May?
All righty, so here we go. A couple of issues came up this week for me, and 2 weeks actually. The most important thing is this weekend we had a fire at the marina, and the fire was The fire was handled by our fire department, but it brought up some concerns about safety on the water. So for the past 2 or 3 years now, I've really been working toward improving the waterways. I think it's going to be a huge asset as we open up the park and as we attract people to the Beach Street area. I think it's kind of underutilized. So fire safety becomes important to me. I've had requests from citizens in that area who are boaters, citizens who travel, who go back and forth, who use our waterways and support the city for a fireboat. And I'd like to have the fire chief, if he's around.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Oh, deputy fire chief, I guess. If the city manager could please address that. Because I also had I met with him about 2 weeks ago. I was speaking about the Beach Street circle or traffic light with the boaters down there and kind of what they thought about the whole concept and giving them information about the city. There's one gentleman there who has access to 2,200 boaters. So 2,200 people could potentially visit our particular area. So our image matters, and they spread the word. We've recently invested a lot of money in the marina, and this is something that I think we need. So go ahead, Mr. Manager.
Yeah, after we heard about the fire and received some emails, I asked the fire chief to evaluate the costs associated with having a fire boat and also making sure that our safety measures were in place at the marina with Michael Starwer. So he is examining the costs associated with the fire boat, and we may be bringing something back to your attention that deals with that in the future.
Okay.
Okay.
I said what he told me.
Okay, super. Just speaking about the fireboat. Okay, the next thing is this. I took some time and I went to the senior housing community on South Beach Street, spoke to them about some concerns that the marina was having. This is prior to the fire breaking out. They're having a huge issue with homeless in that particular area. There seems to be a clump of lawn, grass, whatever you want to call it, in front of Windsor Maley. Homeless are sleeping in that particular area, and I'm receiving complaints from them as well as complaints from my Marina Point residents as they're leaving. They're noticing it. One other thing, I sent a long email to the city. I really would like us to follow up on it because I have to go back and report to them. They really would like to also have a slowdown of traffic. It does not seem that the pedestrian lights are working well enough, or the little stop sign that we have. They'd love to see more going on there because they're having a hard time crossing the street, and also they would like to have a bus stop bench. I noticed we have them on Beach Street, and if we could have a bus stop bench by the Windsor Maley, I asked them how they felt about homeless sleeping on it. They said it was worth it to them because some of them are on walkers, right? With regard to the roundabout or the traffic lights, I walked Beach Street, North Beach Street. I went to Baloo. I went to Beach. I spoke to the residents at Central Manor as well, gave them the plans, and asked them to weigh in. As of right now, and they will be attending the different meetings that we're having to weigh in. They've given me their thoughts. The biggest thing that came out of it was the flooding. They were wondering how we were going to manage the flooding in that area, given that we're also having a roundabout and more people will be coming. And my concern was for the residents and the businesses in that area. We had an issue there about 1.5 years ago where we had a road reconstruction we were doing. It hurt the businesses there a bit. It took a bit longer than we thought. We hit a main of some sort. Someone hit a main, and it closed down the area a bit. So the concern I have for them and the concern they have is flooding. And when we do our construction on the Beach Street corridor, that we take that into consideration for them. And they will be attending the meetings as well. Moving on, I would say I also received a comment. The question that was posed to me was what's happening with the zipline park right now? It's not active. The Tuscaloosa zipline park, is it active right now?
First time I'm hearing that it's not active, but we'll follow up with you.
Okay. The concern was that we have a wooden board that looks like we have 2 wooden boards, one on ISB and one on Nova, that sort of says here's the zipline park. But the comment was it looks terrible. It's literally 2 wooden pieces of board that are up by 2x4s. And I'll send you pictures of it also, all right? I do want to say thank you with regard to the renovations happening at the golf course. I sent pictures a while back. I have some residents who live over at River House, and they do a lot of golfing and boating. And they were informing me that there were some issues with the golf course, and they've also informed me that we are addressing those issues at the golf course, and they appreciate that tremendously. One more thing. I received an email this week from the city manager and I think attorney. I've been consistently speaking about an issue I'm having on Grandview and ISB. It's the same general area. It's the same general trash complaint. And each time I keep asking for the same thing. I keep saying, is there anything that we can come up with when we have people who are violating the same code enforcement rules over and over again, literally every 2 weeks? So my question is, what can we do? Or do the residents just have to put up with this every 2 weeks? Any thoughts?
I believe Captain Lee had a rather detailed response to that in terms of what the potential violations were. To my knowledge, that property has not been cited. And so this may be an enforcement issue, or maybe Captain Lee can address it in more detail.
Don't see him? Okay.
He's coming.
Well, first off, I have to apologize because we were having a conversation about derelict vessels in there. So I missed the question.
That's okay. I'm sure you're well versed. The pictures on Grandview and ISB, the blue house right there.
Mm-hmm.
What goes on with this? I'm getting.
We're talking about the trash and debris that was left out by the curb line.
It's left out. I mean, it was piled neatly, but there was bedding and dressers, and people have to drive by that, and it's on ISB. Mm-hmm.
Right. So Scott Lee, I'm a police captain with Daytona Beach Police Department. So that violation was occurring on the right of way. And really the way the code's set up, the best way for, us as a city that we've been dealing with it is that, Public Works has an established pattern that when they go there and that they have to do a special pickup, or if they have to use special equipment or an extra trip, they bill for all of that. And that's how we recoup the cost of having to do that extra work. Now, that's not a violation when it's on that right of way that's occurring on that property. Now, what we have talked about is that in that instance, for example, that is probably a rental. Those ones where we see where they're repeatedly occurring, they're usually a rental. And what we're doing right now is we're kind of revamping our long-term residential rental program. And one of the things that we're doing is we're creating a relationship with Sandra Van Cleef, who works with our solid waste. And so when she's getting those complaints now, we've bridged a communication gap between our two departments so that she's calling us and saying, hey, I got one of these. And what we're doing is we're looking into the property, number one, seeing if they have a residential rental license, because many of them are just unlicensed. And then we're addressing the fact that they're unlicensed if they are. If they are licensed, then we start to work with or communicate with the landlord or the property manager if we have the information on file, which in most cases we do, and usually the information is up to date. There are parts of our code, our residential rental code, that would probably allow for us to address that violation a little more firmly in the future with letter notices to the property managers and to the property owner, telling them, hey, these instances can't continue to occur without us taking some type of action against your license.
Okay, thank you so much. The residents on Beachside really appreciate the efforts that we're putting into Zone 3 on Beachside, because we see we're doing things on Beachside, and then also Beach Street, and then also Palmetto in the Midtown area. So I think we're moving along. As I was walking the area along Ballou Road and Beach Street, I noticed something, and what can we do about this? I see it in other parts of Zone 3 also, because we are doing so much work in that area. I see these markings. Orange markings, green markings, blue markings. I know that they are directional markings for Public Works, but is there a nicer way that we can denote this? I've heard of some cities, I've done some research, they put dots, they put little circular medallions in places to kind of show what they're doing there. Because if you go to Ballou Road, take a look at the sidewalk, you can literally see where they've been doing work, which is fine, which is great, but you can see orange, blue, red, green. It's a bit unsightly in different areas. What are your thoughts, sir?
David Waller with the Public Works Department. The vast majority of the paint marks that are not, if they're blue or they're green or they're purple, they're city marks by our utility department. The rest of them, and the vast majority, are either Tico, they're yellow, they're red, they're power, they're orange, and it's some sort of communication. State law requires before you dig to call 511 for locates, and every utility provides the marking so you don't damage the underground utilities, causing undue outages to the customers. The city performs our own through the utility department, and the rest are done through a locate service. So there is not a standard that's set for the markings. A lot of utilities do put dots, like plastic medallion dots down. A lot of public utilities or private utilities do that help their locators to expedite the locating service. But the markings that are placed down are required by the state for all utilities to provide markings within 48 hours of the call so that you can dig safely and not cause outages.
The work that we're doing, but as we're trying to also improve. I mean, I know there's nothing most likely can do. I did some research on the little medallions we could use, though, but it doesn't look right. But sometimes they're on pillars, and I understand they're directional, but just to keep in mind that it's just everywhere at this point, which says we're doing stuff. But the same token, if it could look nicer, that would be great. So just thank you so much.
We struggle with on our own projects. We know, I mean, several times just during the recent project on Beach Street, we go back to set, we got everything's done, everything's new. We go to set the light poles, and the locate guys come through and spray paint all over the brand new concrete before we get to the field. And we're like, oh.
Exactly.
And there is it does pressure wash off. It's the paint system that they use is a powder-based paint. It's supposed to wear off after 14 days. We know it does last longer than that in reality, but it is not it's not the same as buying some Rust-Oleum at the store. It does fade out relatively fast, and pressure washing does remove it from the surface. Internally, we can certainly speak with our utility locators that we employ through the utility department and see if they can be a little more judicious about the size of the markings. But I'd tell you the vast majority of the markings are your other public utilities, power and public communication services, AT&T, whatnot.
And just while you're there, I spoke with some of the commercial businesses, the owners out there on Ballou Road and Beach Street, and the question that kept coming up was, when are we going to start moving? Because I think we are moving in the direction of Ballou and Beach Street North in terms of road renovation, which we discussed at our last meeting, in terms of sidewalks. There are a couple of really interesting left turns from Anita and Ballou that there's a giant blind spot right there. And this was a continuous comment. I looked at the sidewalks in that area, and I recognize that it's a hard area because they flood. So do we have anything that we can offer them that we can do in the future so I can go back and tell them that's something?
Well, we had a coordination meeting between us and utilities the week after the last committee. I guess it was last week. We have a monthly gathering between the two departments because we have so many projects that overlap, and North Beach Street was the topic of that conversation. It's a little more complex than I had thought when I spoke 2 weeks ago. That drainage system in that area was installed in 1940, and it's a terracotta tile system, and it's not something that's repairable. It needs to be replaced. So it'll be a pretty significant underground system. And so the utilities will be, they're going to scope, and the utilities department is committed to starting to scope and determine what's going to be required on their part between lining existing lines or replacing certainly the drainage system. To provide a utility system that will last for the next generation, so to speak, and then we will redo the surface of the road as a coordination with that. I suspect it's going to end up being a project from a scope perspective, a little more similar to what happened on MLK, where there's a significant amount of underground work that then turns into the surface, just because of the age of the utilities. The most recent plans they could find were the 40s, and some stuff is older than that. And it's quite deep, and there'll certainly be an effort in the design to alleviate some flooding.
Okay.
But you have to understand, and the property owners need to understand in that area, that their finished floor elevation of their businesses doesn't change, and the outfall to the river doesn't change. And so when you have high tide and you have a drainage system that flows into the river, and the tide is higher than the outfall, which is the root canal is the outfall for that area. The water goes all the way to the top of those seawalls. Our pipes are discharging underwater. When you get enough head pressure from the river pushing back, you know, we could raise the roadways, but the finished floor of the businesses still has
Yeah.
to be able to discharge.
Some of them are 2.5 with 3 versus FEMA's 7.
Does, and
Yeah.
I think you'll see, you know, as things get redeveloped, which doesn't solve the immediate need. I mean, the building your business is in is newer, and the finished floor is higher. Even though Magnolia often has that, you know, we call it the rainy day or the sunny day flood when it's sunny out and the tide's up, and we got, you know, the right moon configuration, and it's water's backing up on Magnolia. There are businesses that are threatened by that, but your particular one isn't because it's built to a current standard. And as new development happens on Beach Street and North Beach and Ballou, that finished floor will take care of itself over time. You know, that's not a new issue. It's a historical issue, and you know the drainage systems will be designed as all the new stuff we did on Beach Street with backflows that will eliminate that sunny day flooding. But the reality is that there still will be that potential for the high tide plus rain not discharging
Okay.
the river
Thank you
at
so
the
much.
same rate. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So before I finish, just to make sure I'm understanding.
I have a question to follow up.
Oh, okay.
Go
Thank you.
ahead.
No, finish up with this because this is good.
As it relates to North Beach Street, you're saying that fixing the underground really is not going to fix the flooding issue. Why is it not working properly now, though? I'm not saying why not. I understand why it won't. Is it working well enough to continue as it is? Why would we need to fix that necessarily underground if it's not going to?
Because you've got a terracotta tile pipe system that was put in 80 some years ago. It's failing, and they do a lot of spot repairs. But that the road and the big depressions in that road are the result of those leaking pipes.
Okay.
And so if we go and fix the surface, you very rapidly will have the same ride you have now. And so to make that correction, we need to fix the underground.
Okay. And the final thing on that is, we do want, even if we don't have the plan in place, that we can't do it simultaneously, that we do, and if we don't have the money, if we can't do it simultaneously, we would like to have a plan by the time we finish Beach Street, this project that we're working on. We want to be able to simultaneously announce that South Beach Street will finish. We will have a timeline so that we can say definitively to our residents, especially those there in the forgotten zone,
Uptown.
uptown,
Right.
that this is when this is going to be done. You know, and I'm not trying to tell you, give me a hard time.
That is 100% our objective, and that was our coordination discussion last week, was for them to start scoping that, and then we would come back together and come up with a budget plan that we could present to the manager so that we can get the design portion done, and then the funding side from the utilities is what really will be sort of part of the hang. And then, you know, it's not a resurfacing. If you dig all those holes, you're building base and you're building a road, so it drives the cost up. But there is a significant commitment on our side to create a plan to solve that road for the next generation.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Zone 3 appreciates that, especially that area, that commercial and that residential area. Thank you so much. And I just want to be sure I'm understanding, because I have a feeling I'm going to be getting continued letters and emails from the, which I forward to you right away, from the boat community. Are we saying that we are looking into a fireboat right now? Is there funding for it?
No, there's no funding. I have Drew ask him what will be the cost associated, and also what is involved in that and the need of it, to make a recommendation to the commission to see if that is something that they want us to pursue.
Yeah. Okay. Because I don't, you know, I'm okay with a lot of things, but we got a lot of priorities. Go ahead, Commissioner Kenton. Okay.
Okay, first of all, we had the city trunk or treat past Monday. I wanted to thank all the many organizations, service, and staff. You guys did a wonderful job.
And Drew for MCing. Our MC ended up in the hospital, so he filled in. I'm just wanting to remind everyone, on Veterans Day, we will be honoring our 107 city employees. luncheon at noon, a proclamation that will be read by the mayor, and a special item will be unveiled. And also they are invited to a free concert by Senator Wright afterwards. And also tune in to WSBB Radio 106.9 FM on Veterans Day, November 11th, starting at 7 a.m. to 8:30. I will be co-hosting with Skip Deagle to honor our local veterans. There will be 3 city employees on the air discussing their experience in the military and their roles at the city of Daytona Beach. And one of them is right over there, Kim Gatson. I also recently visited, the only school I have in my zone is Champion, and met the new principal, Mrs. Polite. She is doing a great job and wonderful. She has some wonderful programs for the students that she's doing over there. Let's see, what else? I already mentioned that. I also wanted to, if I have any Indigo residents out there or watching, there will be a community meeting that has been set up on Tuesday, November 16th. That starts at 6 p.m. and is being held at the Holiday Inn, 137 Auto Mall Circle by Ackerman Law Firm. And it relates to the proposed rezoning and comp plan amendment of the former Indigo Lakes Golf Course property. So that's an important meeting. Also, I attended a FDOT. FDOT is inviting everyone to a public meeting on Wednesday, November the 10th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Ocean Center. And that's, I can't even read my own writing, sorry. Part of it is being conducted transportation solution for segments of State Road A1A east of ISB, 92 Main Street, Seabreeze Boulevard, and Oak Ridge Boulevard. And if you've heard any complaints about the purple lights on I-4 and a TPO meeting, I was told that it is a manufacturer defect, and they will be replaced at their cost, and it's happening all over the state and in other states.
Oh, okay.
The TPO meeting, they talk, I talked to them regarding the unfinished sidewalk off Clyde Morris, starting at Bevel Road to Hancock, which is a state road, and DOT might have the funds for that sidewalk and a safety fund, so they're checking into that for me right now.
Great.
And there's 3 other projects happening in the TPO meeting in Daytona. I wanted to give you a few FDOT projects. Let's see, resurfacing on I-95 from south of Dunn Avenue to the Airport Road. Contractors continue paving both northbound and southbound, and the estimated completions is the summer of 2022. They're doing signage improvements on State Road 400, which is Bevel and LPGA. Estimate completion is the summer of 2022. I actually received a text while we were in the commission meeting from Colleen from FDOT, and all those surveying, you see the surveying going on 400. That's for the resurfacing of that road that should be starting here shortly.
Good deal.
And also one other project, Oak Ridge Boulevard from east side of Halifax River to State Road A1A. Contractor is reconstructing curb, gutter, and sidewalks at the intersection of State Road 430 from North Halifax Avenue to State Road A1A, and that's estimated completion should be summer of 2022. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. That was quick and it was good. Good information.
Oh, wait, I do have one more.
It's all right.
You guys have this? Yeah, okay. They were photos, which she tried to take pictures. Actually, I think the mayor met the lady at the trunk or treat. I would like to have a mascot. Wouldn't you guys like to have a mascot for Daytona Beach?
I would like to have a mascot, and
Okay.
I know what I want it to be.
Okay, this young lady, she's 19. She graduated from.
I don't know that she can
I
make
think
our
Malin,
mascot.
actually. And she makes these costumes, and this is like her dream job. And if you see some of the costumes that she's made, and they're kind of hard to tell on these pictures, but in the real photographs, you can actually tell. And she does like the sketching on the computer and everything. And someone brought up, I mean, but it's up to you guys. I just think we should have one. But someone brought up Brownie. I didn't even know about Brownie.
I want Brownie.
You want Brownie? I did not even know about Brownie, but couldn't Brownie be a great mascot?
Yeah, I think Brownie would be a great mascot, but I think, here, let me say this. I think we should do this. We should use this as a community engagement initiative.
I actually like
Well,
that,
I
yes.
want Brownie, we should make it this big deal in the community about what our mascot should be, and have, you know, like online voting, have folks do drawings, paintings. Now, I also believe that whatever we finally come up with has to be professional. Has to be, you know, at grade A. We say this is going to be our costume, has to be a grade A. But I do think it should be a community effort and initiative, and I want a mascot.
I do too.
Mm. Okay. What do you all think? Y'all want a mascot? You don't want Brownie, do you? No. I knew you didn't want Brownie. I knew she didn't. Well, he can't be
I
Wally.
didn't even know who Brownie
He can't be
was
Wally.
the other day.
Okay, but at any rate, they'll work on it, and then we'll. But I mean, this has to be. This is your communications department. I want this to be, you know, bring us together kind of thing.
We already have
Okay.
some people that want to be in the mascot.
Yeah. Okay, we got some. Yeah, 'cause
I think, Mr. Jagger, you want in that?
Do you remember the first Wildcat costume we had for Wildy?
Yeah, he wouldn't.
Oh my
That's
God!
what his name Wildy.
I think
called
Disney
him Wildy.
designed it, and he looked like he was a rainbow. So let's be professional, cause ooh,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We can have like a contest, you're saying, let the public.
The public communicate and get in on it, and
And on that note, did we ever decide or talk further about the "I Love Daytona Beach" sign we talked about? That's about your comments.
Oh, they're working on it. It's quite
Yeah.
expensive, but we are working on something that.
Okay. All right.
Before I got here, I think Commissioner May talked about it too. But
Mhm.
we're working on your plan.
All right.
okay.
Okay.
That's it. Okay.
I love Paula Reed.
And now I'm done.
Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in comments to that, I think it would be a great opportunity if we came up with a certain couple of different options and then allowed
Yeah.
the community to participate and kind of vote on it, so we have some kind of direction. It may be too broad to just say, let the community decide. Let's come up with some different ideas. And then we can even have the students have a competition on designing it, drawing certain things, and we can kind of mimic that. Just my ideas, and yeah, I'm not a fan of Brownie. Brownie isn't going to be my first choice. I won't be voting on Brownie.
Okay.
I'm making encourage everybody.
I heard you guys have a statue of Brownie out there.
We do.
And that's-
We have a statue of Brown.
And
Oh, I do too, but I didn't even know who Brownie was. You guys got a cake and everything. I saw the pictures.
He's
I was like,
famous.
wow.
And I'm going to encourage all voters in my home not to vote for Brownie. So,
Brownie's not getting any love tonight.
and not. So, my first comment tonight is in regards to a few years ago, we began talking about Teacher of the Quarter and the city participating and designing working with the school system to do a Teacher of the Quarter, and it kind of never surfaced. And I know that Malcolm's probably going to talk about Palm Terrace is interested in a Teacher of the Quarter, and some of the other schools are interested in Teacher of the Quarter because staff morale is low. So staff is working hard to bring the children, their grades up, to get them back on par, and they're working overtime. You know they're not getting paid for that. So I want to know where we are with Teacher of the Quarter, if we can revisit that, because I definitely want us to participate. strong communities and strong schools are a must. And so we must invest in our schools, and we must invest in our educators. It's got to be a really tough time right now to be an educator.
Let me share this with you, because we have Teacher of the Quarter at my school.
Oh, okay.
And it works very effectively. But what I would recommend is you start off with a school or two schools. You have, I don't know how many schools, maybe just in your zone. So you can start off with, say, West Side or Palm Terrace or both. Get with Bob Davis, and then you also get with a few businesses and get with the Chamber of Commerce and get a few businesses, because this is how we do it. And then the commission or the school board would show up, and you present each quarter like a plaque, and the chamber can do it, and I can help you with what we have to share with the chamber. And then Bob Davis can perhaps give you a hotel that will partner with the school. So I recommend that you pick those two schools, get the hotel to partner with them. So each time the quarter comes, you would then give them maybe a free night stay or 2-night stay to that particular hotel. Then you have these other businesses. You may go to businesses that are in Zone 5, or a business like the chocolate company, see if you can go down there and get them to give something. And you create a basket in each quarter, so that way you have a system going by. And then that's kind of how we do it.
Thank you,
okay.
Mr. Mayor, for that insight.
All right.
Appreciate it. So the next thing I want to talk about is beautification in Zone 5. We have been talking at our neighborhood watch and in our community about the signage that is in Cedar Highlands, or lack thereof, introducing those subdivisions in that area. There's no signage in any of those subdivisions. So there's Cedar Highlands, Madison Heights, and Suburbia could all use some beautification as you enter the subdivision. And something that announces you're in Suburbia, you're in Madison Heights. And so I would like to ask staff to come up with plans that we could use to beautify those areas, because I would like to use some of my ARCA money for that, for those particular communities. So maybe if they could come up with flowers, any type of beautification, signage, minimal lights that meet our requirements, where we can begin to beautify those particular subdivisions. Starting with those subdivisions, maybe continuing on with some other subdivisions, because even on LPGA and Dahoon Holly, it could use something, and I'd like for them to have a piece of the pie as well.
I actually like that idea, the little monuments. So I'd like something like that. There's some areas in Zone 3 that came to mind also, and I was talking about this concept, and they brought it up also, and I'm thinking Uptown and the Lexington area, and possibly further down, and also parts on Beach Street. They're unique little communities.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it. Branding a neighborhood and a community is important. Now, Drew would have to be the ARCA police on that one. I don't know. I've never read it, but you're the ARCA police for our city. So see if you can find a way to help the commissioners. I think they're great ideas.
On that note, before you move on, Commissioner Henry, I actually saw a drawing at the intersection of Nova Road and International Speedway that introduced Midtown, that you were entering the Midtown area of the city of Daytona Beach. Now, where that is now, only God knows. But it was like something like this. I know. What do I look like on camera?
Wayfinding.
No, it was more than wayfinding. It wasn't those little green things we have now.
But it was more decorative. I mean, you can have.
Yeah, it was more decorative, and it was standalone on the ground. And I'd like to see if we could find that.
Okay.
So we would like to have staff to meet with those communities individually, starting with Cedar Highlands, to give the residents some options, if possible to use those funds for that. We would like to set up meetings with those individual subdivisions so that those subdivisions can have some say in what some different choices and what they could possibly do to, and be a part of it, not just be forced with what our ideas are, but give them a couple options to use. So that is for the beautification. Next, I need to know, I know we have been talking about the exact needs of affordable housing in our city, but I'm wondering if we have been able to come up with the needs of affordable housing by zone. I would like to know what Zone 5 possibly would need with affordable housing going forward so that I can see what kind of projects I would like to look at or our community would like to look at as far as attracting affordable housing directly in that community. We're suffering. And I know other zones are suffering, but I'm mother duck of Zone 5. So I definitely would like to be able to see exactly what our needs are in that particular zone. So if there's a way that staff can start working on that or bring that information.
You all approved recently will encompass all.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. So the sidewalks are starting on Vine Street.
Ooh, big deal.
And
That's a
so
big
these sidewalks are something that we talked about my first year.
10 years ago.
Yes, well, Mayor knows better than me. He said 10 years ago. So,
Big deal.
but the land has been cleared. They're getting started, and man, this is just one of the biggest projects for me because I've been watching those children walk in the road to our community center for years now. So I'm very happy to see that that's on the way and that's started.
I'm going by
Also, I was just wondering if I could get a copy of the comp plan for Derbyshire Park so that I can see so I can show the residents exactly what that comp plan looks like, and they will know what we're working on for Derbyshire Park. And that's all my comments for tonight.
All right. Okay. Commissioner Reed.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. If I could go back to the signage, I can't neglect the Highlands. That was something that we talked about when they were here, having a larger statue of some sort other than what's there now in front of our historical arc, indicating that that is the Highlands area. If we could look at something that could go there as well when we're looking at signage. And then I wanted to, I just want to commend the city manager and staff, particularly the PIO and her staff, that the city manager's update is really, really starting to look like something. It's very informative, and one of the things I had in my notes, I knew this was coming up, but just for the record, I just want to make sure that the citizens know that we have the Hazardous Waste Day on November 6th. I know I've got some old paint I want to get rid of. There are things out there, light bulbs, household chemicals, paint, and paint thinners, batteries, pool chemicals, solvents, pesticides, fertilizers, propane tanks, and antifreeze, things of that nature that you can put out on the curb that they're going to actually pick up. And we only do that like twice a year. So this is the fall pickup. So let's be mindful of that we can't take everything all the time. And then from this, I also wanted to ask Commissioner May, with this small footprint homes that you're advocating here in the is there going to be a home on display?
Thank you so much for that segue in. I appreciate it. I was so concerned with my fire issues. I had issues this weekend. So yes, there's actually, with my Bike Week funds, I opted to bring in a small footprint home. So there's actually one being brought in on tractor trailer tomorrow morning, and they'll be ready to set up. They'll be doing tours. You can walk through it and actually experience what it's like from the time you walk in to the time you exit. And I believe it's going to be furnished also. Also, I went to the builder of it, and so the actual builders will be there answering any questions. And my hope is that this will move us in another direction, just we're each taking a different approach to attacking the housing issue we have. And so the approach I'm kind of working on is always toward home ownership and this might be a possible solution. It's just a way for you to touch it and see it, and maybe people like it, and you know what? Maybe they don't. Maybe they think it's too small, but at least they'll know something.
But this display will only be on
Tomorrow,
noon
yes,
to 5.
from noon to 5, yes.
All right.
And it goes.
For doing this. because
Yes.
Commissioner Henry brought this to us
Mhm.
about tiny homes, but we've never actually seen one and felt one and touched one to know what it's
Exactly.
like, to actually experience
Yeah.
it. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I wanted to know, how are we doing with the waiving of the fees for the permits and the inspections? Is that going well?
Yeah, I didn't get an update, but we will get an update and provide that to you. And I'll talk a little bit in my walking tour that we're going to be communicating that more to the groups on our walking tours.
All right.
But I'll get that. I'll make sure to get an update of anybody that has come in and provide that to you all electronically.
Okay. And I saw a sign today that you're going to be walking tomorrow. It said city staff walking on October 4. Unfortunately, I won't be able to join you. I have new employee orientation. Otherwise,
We
I
were
would
going
be
to tell you guys y'all couldn't join us based on the direction of the attorney.
Oh, and we always follow the direction of our attorney because he keeps us out of trouble.
One person could join. Even if one person joins, you shouldn't talk about anything or inspect, I should say, sites that may come before you. You know, if on a quasi-judicial matter, you really should be handling things that are presented to you as evidence.
So don't even go.
So you can go, one person can go and not violate the sunshine law. I'm not aware of anything in particular to be coming before you that, you know, maybe you shouldn't do a site inspection on, but that'd be my only other concern.
We'll have a public meeting for you guys.
So if we did a site, I guess I'll leave you alone. Leave it alone and just say that, yes, and I always listen to the attorney, but I definitely think that one person can go. Okay.
And I would agree with that in general. Yeah.
Do we have to choose who wants to go tomorrow morning? Can one?
No, he's suggesting we don't go.
Oh, he's saying don't
We're
go.
suggesting that not more than one go.
Okay.
One can go if somebody wants to go.
Okay.
Or you guys can just individually compel the manager to take you, like I'm going to do. He's going to take me on all these tours. We're going to go and see him all. So
It'll be on a Saturday and Sunday because he works all day.
that's right. Saturday from 6 to 6, we can go do
You buy the coffee next time.
it. Okay.
After last commission meeting, I was asked by a citizen to go down Franklin Street. So as I rode down Orange Avenue, I made a right on Franklin. So in between Orange Avenue and Magnolia and Franklin, it is as dark as the shirt that I'm wearing. It's very unsafe. I don't know if there is a street light on that street. But this husband and wife were telling me how senior citizens have been accosted because of the darkness and how the two of them even fear for their lives, and they're like in their 50s. So we need to, I don't know if FPL needs to be advised, but we do not have a street. I mean, I turned my lights off and I was just riding in darkness. So if we could look into that. That's Franklin between Magnolia and Orange Avenue. Okay? And I know somebody needs a speed bump, but I can't remember the street, so I will send that to the manager when I get that. That's Margaret Smith. You know where she lives? Off of South Street? You know everybody in the city.
We'll just send Public Works. They'll go that whole street.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my comments.
Oh, okay. Was that it?
Share quickly with everybody. It's going to be at Allen Chapel. Thank you so much, Commissioner Reed, So Allen Chapel tomorrow, Thursday, November 4th, noon to 5. Thank you so much to Reverend Magala for allowing us to put it on their premises. And again, thank you to the commission for approving the funds for me to bring the house here so we could actually take a look at it. And also Miss Lucy Desmore, as well as the Development Corporation for Allen Chapel, heavily involved in promoting this, and they're all about home ownership. So I appreciate that so much.
Commissioner Cantu, did you have another one, or was that it? No, she's done. I didn't know. I just thought someone said you had another comment. I'm not trying to force anybody. Okay, we have. I just want to make sure my colleagues can speak if they have an issue. I mean, it's important. We don't get to talk to one another. Okay. You all are wrong. I really only have one thing. And you all know that the Mayor's Fitness Challenge concluded after 8 weeks. we had the Mayor's Fitness Challenge, and we normally have it for 10 weeks. And we're going to reconvene our regularly scheduled Mayor's Fitness Challenge in January. So we're off from now until January. Well, you can only have one winner of the Mayor's Fitness Challenge. And we have 2 derricks. We're at City Hall now. 1 hour, 2 hours, and we always know that 2 is better than 1. So, I just simply want to say to the city of Daytona Beach, let's continue to execute the a winner mantra which was used. Drink your water. Make sure that you are intermittently fasting if you believe in that. If not, use your imagination and do some yoga and some things that help you to balance your mindset. Nutrition. Let's make sure we say no to those things that the city manager likes to drink, like that sugary lemonade that he tried to get me to drink on our last visit to Sweet Marlay's. Exercise and sleep. That's the winner's mantra. And that's the mantra that I utilized in sinking the ship that would stop me from winning. And for the first time in the history of the Mayor's Fitness Challenge, you have a winning mayor. And so I won my own challenge. The winner gets $500. Now, my $500 did not go to my coffers, although I certainly could have used it. But I am donating mine to a very worthy charity to be named in the near future. It will not go back into the mayor's fitness budget, as Ms. Goodman, our super employee who wants it to go back into the mayor's fitness challenge for the next round, is going to go to a bona fide, legitimate charity here in our community. And in between now and January, we want to encourage, if you are a Mayor's Fitness participant and you weighed in and weighed out, we're not sure exactly what we're going to do, but we don't want you just to say the holidays have come, so now we can just go back to eating and not exercising. We'd like for you to keep going. And so when we come back in January, we're going to do something for those who have lost, be a second winner. And, you'll win that one, so because we want to encourage it. And then in January, we'll pick it up again. And I'm going 2 for 2 this year. So I'm going to try to win again in January because I still have 11 more to go. So with that said, I'm grateful to be a winner and grateful to the staff. We have an amazing staff who did a great job, and we're going to keep pushing forward. Thank you, Commissioner May, for those excellent pointers and videos teaching us about the things that we needed to do that were not overwhelming, but they were powerful and impactful.
I was just smiling. You just repeated my 6 concepts. I was like, look at this man repeating my 6 fundamental principles. I'm impressed.
Well,
Thank you.
You're fitness people. Stephanie's a fitness. That's her mantra. That's hers. It's
I love it.
called a winner, and that's what I lived by. So you both got it.
So now we know that the manager might have to seek me out to get an unfair advantage.
My comments are coming.
Yeah.
My comments are getting rid of.
All right. Well, go ahead, sir.
There are 3 people that I'm going to call for my downfall. Commissioner May did not consistently give updates on email, so that's one person. She missed one, and that's where I had my downfall. And then I saw Steve Miller at Bahama Breeze. When I was eating by myself, and he made me eat and drink more than I should. And Betty Goodman for lunch. Those are the 3 people that caused my downfall of not winning. So Commissioner May, Mr. Miller for that one night, and Ms. Goodman for 4 or 5 lunches. That's the problem. But thank you. I really enjoyed my first Mayor's Fitness Challenge, and I wanted to beat Commissioner Reed and the mayor, and both of them beat me in the mayor's fitness challenge. But I plan on beating them in January, and hopefully I will have some other citizens to join me. We saw two individuals that had on costumes at the trunk or treat. They're sitting on the front row. Maybe we'll get them to join us in the mayor's fitness challenge since they gave out a bunch of candy.
That's right.
Yeah, they gave out. But the walking tours tomorrow, we will be starting at the Dickerson Center tomorrow at 9 a.m. And because the potential is there for items to come up before the commission to discuss of changing of zoning and things like that, we do think it's prudent that we not have commissioners that we go, because the press will be there the entire time with us. So that's going to be, the press will come with us. We're bringing our drone team, our photographers, staffing. We will be taking minutes. Citizens will be walking with us, and we're going to bring our reports back to you. I don't know, since we do have Commissioner-elect Strickland, he may have to abide by some of these things too. So he can't go on the tour. I know he probably would have been bothering me, but your sunshine, your commissioner-elect. So send one of your troops. I know it's you're there now. You can't even don't text anyone. Some reporter will call you. But we'll talk after. I knew you were planning on coming, but I don't know if you should. But we're going to take the tours, and then we're going to go to the different areas. However, I will get with Dennis, who helped to put the map together, and any elected official that would want to take the same route with us, me and Dennis will be willing to take you all on that route again. I'm trying to work with the city attorney to see how we can have a public meeting in the location in January, where we can be in an area if it's working, if it's feasible, but because of, we don't want citizens to even have the appearance that there can be something. I don't think any of you all would do anything wrong, but we may have to do one of our workshops in a location out there in the field in January. But tomorrow we look forward to it. Our ultimate goal is not to tell any resident or business owner just no. Our ultimate goal is to try to find ways to see what they want to do with their properties, what issues and concerns they have, come back as a staff to see if we can bring discussions together. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. We're going to be hiring, if you haven't seen, you all approved during the budget, a special events coordinator. We get an event every week. Somebody just wants to do something. We're trying to bring all those things in place, and this person will help us to facilitate some of those items. I do want to thank the ICMA and FCCMA for their presentation tonight, because most cities sometimes don't have appointed city managers, and I get the opportunity to serve in one of the finest communities in the state of Florida and throughout the country. So I appreciate being a city manager and thank them for that. And I also see Jenny back there. I wanted to let her know that there was a conversation about Daytona Beach, where the grad students of the University of Portland are doing a study, an economic study on our city and on natural resources and things of that nature. And I talked about Jenny and her and some of the work she does and the emails and stuff. So they're going to actually be trying to set up something to do a Zoom with her. And they've already talked with me in the chamber, but I talked with them and the 5 students from the University of Portland. So I was going to be getting with you to talk about citizens that are focused more on our natural resources and continue to communicate with us. So they'll be getting in touch with you soon. Thank you.
All right.
And one more thing. This is from Letitia. I'm sorry, Mayor. I saw you yawn. Canvassing board meeting tomorrow at 5 p.m. in DeLand to certify the elections.
The final one.
The final one. So if 5 o'clock, I'll see you guys at 4:59 p.m.
All right.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we will hear from our residents, the best part of our community.
Okay. Our first speaker is Candace Wrightsell, and on deck is William Wrightsell. Thank you.
Opportunity to speak with you. It's Candace Wrightsell, 211 Williams Avenue, Daytona Beach. I'm here before you to respectfully request to appeal the decision made by code enforcement on 10/26/21 regarding a case number CE 2021-2253. I am directly affected by this decision, and I would like to know how to proceed from here to have a formal appeal.
Office, and I can walk you through that process. There's no direct appeal to the city commission of code board issues, so your appeal is actually to the circuit court. But I'll be glad to, advise you of that. There's also, a deadline to file your appeal. So, and also you have to be an interested party. Is this on the same matter that you were here to speak
No,
of
it
last
is
time?
not. I am the injured party.
Okay. Yes, feel free to call my office. The number is 386-671-8040, and I will assist you in the requirements for your appeal.
Excellent. Thank you ever so much. It won't be, we had a long discussion last time, so it won't be necessary for William Wright South to speak. So that'll be done. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
And Coop
This
situation?
is the same person. She says it's unrelated,
Okay, all right.
and that she is an interested person. The last time the violation wasn't on her property, so we had an issue about whether she had a right to appeal. But if this violation is on your property, then, it may be a different situation.
Okay. Our next speaker then is John Nicholson, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
John Nicholson, Daytona Beach side. Several things. One, you were talking about repaving roads. A1A, I know it's not your road, but north of Seabreeze, there's about a dozen potholes. With Hard Rock being there and the things that are going on, I don't know who to contact, but I'm sure the city does. It needs to be repaired. Secondly, Ormond Beach has a built-in, like we do with our water, it automatically increases. They have, I was talking to Selby, a percentage or millage on their tax bill. So what they do is it's automatic. They take a little bit of money out, and that's what they use for the roads. So we might be able to talk to them and see what they do, and if we might be able to do the same.
I agree. I talked to Jim Chisholm about that a few years back. But yeah, anyway, that is true, and I said I talked to Jim about that a few years back.
Okay.
But at the time, we discussed and decided we would try to start adding more money. But I do think they're moving forward for a permanent state.
Just a little bit,
Just a
and
little.
it adds up.
It's the most, yeah, okay. But anyway,
Okay.
that's a good idea.
All right. Also, I want to commend the initiative by Stacy Cantu on the property out in LPGA area. I've been pushing for years that we do a highest and best use. When she buys this property, one, it increases the parkage. Secondly, what it does, the cell tower provides funding, like the zip line provides funding for Tomoka. The staff said that the zip line paid for the maintenance of Tomoka Park for the year, and there was a little money left over. I'm guessing that probably the money from the cell tower, if we applied it to that park, could maintain that park for us as well, which I think would be a great idea. A woman that lives in the Seabreeze area, I was talking to her the other morning, and apparently the homeless are going through the Seabreeze neighborhood, north of Seabreeze, and the homeless are going through to their palm trees to get their leaves to make their little flowers. And one homeless woman, a 93-year-old woman, addressed a homeless man going up a tree, and he threatened her with a machete. So at 93, I don't think our residents should go through that. So I'm asking our police to double down on the boardwalk. It's illegal for them to make those on the boardwalk, but yet they allow them to do so. And our staff has to clean up the garbage that they leave, because once they cut, all that garbage sits around there, and our staff has to clean it up. So I'm asking double duty to make sure that they don't do it on the boardwalk, and if they can't do it there, then they won't invade the neighborhood. City Hall, yes, I like your idea of the City Hall. Jim had proposed a location. I would like that location for several reasons, one of which is synergy, all right? Once you start several things in one location, it kind of multiplies.
That's true.
So that is a very good location for us with what's going on in that location. And 2 seconds, redistricting by the county and the school board, we have not started yet, and we have less than 2 months to go. Right? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Frederick Brown, and on deck is Marjorie Johnson.
Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge, Daytona Beach. Proud citizen of a steadily improving Daytona Beach. Love living here. Couple of points I want to add to my presentation. I need to augment Malcolm's suggestion, which was outstanding. And if those of you remember from back in the 30s, it used to be the original American Legion Memorial was right there, and I showed it to the people there from the Freedom Group, where the sun rises directly through the memorial. It was a beautiful thing. It used to be on all the postcards back in the old days. Anyway, my suggestion is you asked where to display this beautiful plaque with the civil rights. Why don't we put it in the Daytona News Journal building along with Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune's statue during that time that it's on tour there, when the original one's on there, while we decide where to put it? Just a suggestion. I just think the two would go great side by side. Next thing I also want to mention, Commissioner May, about the homes.
He's talking about this.
Boxable Homes, which I don't know if that's the company you're involved with or not, but they make a home that comes on a truck and you set it up. The world's richest man lives in one. He's worth almost $300 billion, and he lives in one of these boxable homes. It's only about 500 square foot. So if it's good enough for him, it ought to be good enough for everybody else. So, okay, I did want to, and you mentioned one of our outstanding citizens, one of our outstanding staff, Ms. Goodman. She's been in charge of the Citizens Academy, and I really would like to know, when is that going to start up? I've had my vaccinations. Almost everybody has. I would really like to say I've been signed up for that for 1.5 years now, waiting. So is there any way we could put a little grease on the wheels?
I'm not going to push her around. So I'll tell you straight up front.
Okay.
She got a lot on her plate, and I'm not pushing.
I understand, but I think it's one of the excellent programs here in the city of Daytona, and I really would like to see it back in gear again. And
it is.
I know she's leaving soon, so it'd be nice to get it going before she goes.
Where is she going?
I thought you said she's retiring.
I didn't. I mean, I might have said that a while ago, but
Oh, all right.
There are people who don't want her to retire.
Okay, well, let's. All right, I'm running out of time now. I would like to see you do an update. I'm sorry that I didn't get to hear one the last 2 weeks. As you know, you visited the public land over there at Bridgeport Heights, and I would like to see an update on that. The other thing I've requested numerous times, and I don't know where to go with this, but I would like to see the city of Daytona Beach lead the country in the safest crosswalks. And I already talked about the system, the Hawk system they had, and Commissioner Cantu is very familiar with it. But I would like to get a committee going on that. And it's like I say, I can identify many of the problems of the tourist that was killed right near my house on 1A. So what does it take to start a committee? That's basically my question. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Marjorie Johnson, and on deck is Malcolm Williams.
Marjorie Johnson, 122 South Key Street. I would like to congratulate the people's candidate, Commissioner Ken Strickland. I was one of his workers at the polls, and we was up last night celebrating victory over at the Daytona Plaza Hotel. I feel that he would make a big difference in this community. He will be accessible to the constituents, as many of our commissioners are not. He has his telephone number there on the card that we was passing out. And the people are excited in Zone 6 to have someone that will represent them fully. So congratulations, job well done. Also, I'm here tonight to say that I'm happy that you have money put in the budget to improve our roads. there still is not enough money to improve all the roads here in the city of Daytona Beach that have been neglected for so many years. There's a need to put sidewalks in a lot of areas there in Midtown and resurfacing of roads. They are desperately needed to be done and neglected. So some of the roads that I took notice of is Live Oak, where Miss Reed used to live. Deep potholes in that street. Very terrible. Trash all outside in the yard. Very deplorable conditions. Wally Street, same thing. Also, Maley Street there's a big hole there that's tearing up the people top. They dug it up. Some of those people that was here, because I saw them there when they was digging it up, but they never fixed it. Also, I would like to say that we must start paying attention and listening to our constituents. I was here in City Hall listening to an interview between Pastor Durham and Miss Reed, and he asked her, what kind of grade would you give yourself? She said, I'd give myself a B, but she should be striving for an A. And when I interviewed some of the people in her zone, they say they would give her a D- because she never answers any of their calls. She does not get back in touch with them. She has not done that since she's been in office. So she's given herself a B. She should be striving for an A. You're here to represent the people. That's what we pay you to do. And when we call you, she was supposed to meet me, but she didn't show up. And she said, oh, let's set up another meeting. But she never did. So let's have more accessibility and accountability toward our residents who are paying your salary. Also, I'm encouraging everybody to go up and visit the Mary McCall Bethune statue. It's open from 10 to 3 every day. It's going to be there until December. So it's a joy to have that statue.
Whoops, sorry. Our next speaker is Malcolm Williams, and on deck is Sharice Boyd.
I'm sorry. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to thank the mayor for the suggestion that he gave about the teacher of the quarter. One of the things that I just wanted to just add to that is the schools are actually, each individual school is doing a teacher of the quarter, but what they were asking for is a little bit more support from the city side. So we definitely will be taking that stuff into consideration. And when it comes to the mascot, I also want to and it goes hand in hand, is to see where we are at with our youth council, youth board that we was talking about. I think that'll be a great project for them, for that youth, whatever we would call it, the youth council to put on their plate and to see kind of spearheaded. Another thing I wanted to talk about with Cedar Highlands Park. I know at one point we were talking about or had a discussion with Leisure Services about adding a park on Jimmy Ann and 3rd Street. And only thing we knew is that plot was owned by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So, while we're looking at other properties and building parks, I just want to just put that on people's mind. Is it 3rd Street? Yeah, because everybody started thinking in their head. Everybody did the same thing. Right across the street from the corner store.
Parcel.
Yeah, that parcel. I think that'd be a great addition for a fitness park and a park for our community to enjoy. I would also like to say with the Mayor's Fitness Challenge, even though I was not there, I will be at the next one. I would like to see a bet or a wager, make it a little bit more fun. Mr. Mayor, your team versus Commissioner May team. I'm taking her side. Other than that, y'all have a good evening.
It's not all about losing weight. Commissioner May will tell you that, but I will always tell you, 3 times state champion. Anytime somebody throws a challenge, I'm about it. Just want you to always know that. I'm about it. So if we want to, but it's not about Commissioner May. I thought it was Commissioner, this guy, manager, this guy. But if Commissioner May is not, we're not just about losing weight. But if we want to develop teams, I'm all about it. But I see it.
So you know what? I have no problem with that. What I would invite is people who want to join my team is that they get one-on-one coaching from me with regard to nutrition, and it would be a daily thing. So anybody who wants to join a team, I'm happy to help and support them with it.
All right.
It would be interesting.
Okay, I'm not going all down that road. I can't do a daily ritual team. All right, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. So just a few points. One, kudos, Malcolm, on your suggestion on replacement. Thank you. Kudos on your use of funds. Get those out. Yeah. Huh? You can't hear. No, sorry. I'm messing with Steve. Okay, sorry, I can take it off. Kudos to everyone, for you and Malcolm. Thank you for your suggestions. Next is, I have a suggestion with the commissioners. I would suggest that y'all keep the mics on during the meetings, because a lot of times they turn them on, you turn them back on, you don't actually repeat what you said, and it is a public forum, so the mic really should probably stay on. Next, congratulations on Neighborhood Walk. I will see you tomorrow. I'm really excited. You're the first to ever do that, so ta-da. It's not that hard, is it? So thank you. And the impact fees, I know you all saying what you were doing with the funds. I have a question. No one said anything about placing any of the, well, I didn't see it up there, the impact fees into personnel. And I know not even for the purpose of increasing the amount of personnel you need to maintain the per capita people in growth?
Can't use impact fees for personnel.
Okay. All right. And the next thing I had to ask, I didn't know. And then I know the efficiency committee. Are you going to make a selection anytime, and what is the process to get on that? Because I hadn't heard anything yet.
In January, we're going to be announcing opportunities for people to submit applications to me.
Okay, so it's not going to be made in January. That's when the process will open. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay. Our next speaker is Patricia Hurd, and on deck is Jenny Nazak.
Good afternoon, good evening. Good evening. Patricia Hurd, 822 Vernon Street, Daytona Beach, Florida. First of all, I'd like to ask one of you Derricks to the left, will you have a go-kart in the morning so I can ride? Anyway, I'll see you in the morning walking. Okay, I'm still concerned about the speeding all over town. And I'm concerned about the students, basically, too, up at Bethune-Cookman. Have you ever thought about reaching out to them and asking or suggesting that each person that has a car there, they would take a 2 to 3 hour refreshing driver class? I'm serious about that. You can laugh or do anything you want to, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Okay, tomorrow I will be hopefully at your city walk. I noticed that the last sign you put on MMBB was at Wallace Street. Is that as far as you're going to go on not MMBB, but MLK? The last sign was put up was near Wallace Street, which means that the residents from there to Shady Place probably haven't seen it, especially ones who do not have transportation. I just wanted to call that to your attention. Tomorrow you will be, hopefully I'll be close to you to point out many, many things in Zone 6 in which we do not have a neighborhood watch as such, but there are so many things that we need to point out to you on MLK, Orange Avenue, and other places.
I thought Steve Miller was the president.
That's not a neighborhood watch. A Zone 6 is not. Sir, neighborhood, I shouldn't have to go 3 miles to go to a meeting. Thank you. What? What?
I said if your neighborhood is that large, then yes, ma'am, you would have to travel.
No, you taking up my time too. It's not a neighborhood watch. Neighborhood, you're able to watch out for each other 2 or 3 blocks, whatever the case might be, and not going 3 miles, 4 miles to a meeting. Yes, I enjoy Zone 5 neighborhood watch when I do go and visit. Thank you. The next one is 18-wheelers being parked in neighborhoods. We will point that out to you also tomorrow. And I'm also concerned about food trucks. That would be pointed out to you tomorrow because some of these people are using it as a store. Thank you and have a good evening.
I do want to just say that a neighborhood, and I do understand your sentiment about it being in close proximity. And that's, I agree with what you're saying.
Thank
Generally,
you.
A large neighborhood. And but if you want to start another one right in that.
No, I'm not going to start anything. I'm not the commissioner.
But commissioners, but I just want to make sure we understand something. Commissioners don't start neighborhood groups. They support them. And that's
well.
And so I that's just. And
I understand.
If we start another one in that area.
I understand exactly what you are saying, Mayor, and I agree with you to a certain extent, but I still say that is known as Midtown meeting or whatever the case might be with another person, Steve Miller, which is in zone, what zone you in, Steve? Zone 3.
Steve is in all the zones.
In all of the zones, okay.
It really is.
But I have said what I had to say, so take it as you want to. Thank you for the time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy the evening.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jenny Nazak, and on deck is Steve Miller.
And as Jenny approaches, I'd just like to say I'd like to commend Mr. Miller because since he has become the leader of the Zone 6 Neighborhood Watch that's housed at the Midtown Educational and Cultural Center, we've had 60 people and more to come to those meetings. He has greatly improved and increased the participation and the attendance. And he doesn't have to do that, particularly when people that live in Zone 6 aren't willing to take the initiative to do so.
Yeah. All right.
Good evening, everybody. Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey Avenue. This is my first time to speak since before the pandemic, and it's always a pleasure to address you. This evening, I'm wearing burnt toast, and I'm carrying a flaming thermometer, and this is to signify that the COP26, the International Climate Conference, is in progress, and world leaders are trying to figure out ways to reduce humanity's emissions of greenhouse gases. Now, the reality is there is only so much that governments can do. We tend to think that the big governments are the most powerful entity, but actually a lot, if not most, of the power rests with communities, neighborhoods, cities. And I really want to commend you guys for the work that you have done to promote a sense of warmth and family in this city. And that is actually one of the main ways that a community can mitigate the worst of whatever disaster comes, is to have a sense of closeness and cohesion and cooperation. So be it a game night, be it the Motown concert series, be it tomorrow's walk, all this stuff that we're doing is really, really important. And then, yes, we do need to work on resilience in the areas of food, water, our shelter, and transportation. But we have a very organized, and when I say we, there's a very organized network of eco-minded people, experts all over the city, the county, and the state. And we're very networked, we work together, we're here to serve. We want everybody to be safe and happy forever and future generations to persist. And we are here. I will be putting out a little pamphlet about how to cultivate personal resilience, and we can do this together. Also, I really want to commend, he's not here, but Dr. Durham He has been such a great champion of environmental awareness. Many of you might not even know this. He had a radio show once a month that was a green theme each month. It was things that most people would not be interested in at all, let alone devote resources to have a radio show about it. And he did in-depth discussions with me about green infrastructure, climate code red, and all sorts of things. And those radio shows have been recorded. And so I want to publicize more since we did the work to put out this information. I would like it to be available, to be utilized. Thank you all. I love this city more and more every day. And if you think this is funny, just wait. I'm only just getting started because, yeah.
Jenny also, she won't say this, but she also has a book. She's an author, if you haven't. Yeah, and I'm making her my natural resources volunteer for the organization to talk with us about natural resources stuff. So y'all.
You know, Mr. Mayor, wouldn't it be a great idea if we had an environmental board? Some kind of.
Somebody mentioned that. Who was that? Who was that? What was it? You, Malcolm? We talked about that in the 40 under equity group. Commissioner Henry is co-signed already, so he can start working on it. Okay. Yes, we did talk about it. Yep. Thank you. And yeah, Jenny joins that 40 under equity group a lot.
I have
too.
you.
All over the place. Yeah.
Steve, we need the green paper.
He's got it. He's my last speaker tonight.
Oh, we thought you had the green paper.
Thank you, sir. Steve Miller, 383 Walnut Street, beautiful Daytona Beach, and you're absolutely right, Zone 3. But I really enjoy acting as the president of the Neighborhood Watch for the Midtown area. And you're right, we've been averaging about 60 people, and we'd like to invite each and every one of you guys to come. We got a very interesting guest this week. Next week on Monday, we got Andy Holmes, and Pat, you like to talk about streets. You can talk to Andy about it because he's our public works director. I also like to mention the Leisure Services Board have not met since COVID. Every other board have met. And even though we don't have enough people have been appointed, so commissioners, we really encourage you to make your appointment, and I would love to see that board meeting by next month if we can. Our kids need that. And the next thing, the folks from the business folks from Martin Luther King Boulevard would love to know when you're going to walk. Orange Avenue, I mean, not Orange Avenue, but MLK. They want to know what time because they want to be at this shop and they want to be able to greet you. May give you some Kool-Aid with a lot of sugar. Well, I just want to let you know that's what they wanted. And I do have a message for the great commissioner of Zone 6 that there is a package at one of your co-workers' office that's for you. Somebody left you a gift and that's been there for over a week now. And I'll give you the rest of the information. But thank you very much. And last but not least, on behalf of Black Votes Matter, 76% of the people who went to the polls from the great 619 voted for the Honorable Ken Strickland, and we're so thrilled that he will be the commissioner because the neighborhood truly needs a lot of help. And Mr. Mayor, you exceeded all expectations, sir. Thank you very much, and I truly love the diversity of this board, and we're gonna have our Caucasian gentleman on the board. So we have a melting pot here. It is the most diverse commission in the entire state of Florida. We have the greatest mayor, we have the greatest city manager, we got the greatest commission, and I love to be a part of this city, and thank you guys.
Is that the last speaker?
That is the last speaker.
Daytona Beach residents, thank you for making our community great. And I knew that I said that you were the best part of our city for a reason. You showed out tonight. God bless you. Good night.